I'm Shane.
I'm Bo.
We are your Kentucky Fried Critics.
Welcome back. Halloween continues.
That's right, guys. We've been rolling in. Last week we had episode 5. Man, I really do need to put that board up there.
We
so
really
can look
need
at
a
it.
fucking board.
So episode 5, it was our first in our Halloween special. Like we said, this year we're just kind of doing things. These are movies that we love. These are movies that scared us as kids.
Yep.
These are just all around. Like if you were to ask us a movie you should watch this October, these are the movies that we would be suggesting to you for sure.
Especially last week's episode. Because I hadn't seen that.
Dr. Giggles is a fun one. It is a crazy one.
That was fucking good.
So this week we can go ahead and get into it. Go ahead and tell them what beer we're on, and you can do the movie intro because this is your pick
this
this
is
week.
my pick this week?
Yeah, that's right.
Awesome. All right, this week we're going to be drinking Moeller Brew Barn Oktoberfest because this is the theme this month. They're all Oktoberfest beers. But this one isn't a brewing company. It's just a barn.
Yeah, that is weird, the Moeller Brew Barn. I didn't look anything up about them. You know,
If they don't
sometimes I
have
try
an
to find
actual
stuff out.
barn, I'm going to be upset.
I have no idea. I'll try to find out for you after today. So
At least
you know.
like a gimmick one, like a little barn. There's like nothing in it. You got to.
You want to go ahead and hit them with the movie? This was your pick.
This was my pick. This was the film that just made the rounds through my friends in high school because this movie was just so fucked up. We're watching Re-Animator this week.
It is a true cult classic. Like,
Yes.
This is one of those movies where you may not have heard of it. If you're in the right circles, you know it and you know it well, right?
Yeah.
But there are definitely plenty of people. It's not like your mainstream, like when people instantly talk about horrors, they're usually talking about the...
It's one of those like horror fan favorites.
Yeah,
like, you got to be already part of the cult.
It is definitely one of those. It's based on a Lovecraft.
H.P. Lovecraft short story, I think.
Yeah. Well, I think it was a set of stories, actually.
That's even better.
Yeah. He hated writing them, though.
I mean, he got paid what, like $5 a story. So I mean, I'd crank them out too.
That's what he said. He was like, but it was paying the bills. So
yeah,
they kept.
That's what all those like romance writers do. They're like, I know it's shit, but I get paid like X amount of money for it.
Yeah, this is a fun movie. I've definitely seen this movie a lot of times. It has a couple, like any good cult horror movie, has a couple of sequels. The sequels get a little bit worse the further along you go.
I don't know.
As horror movies tend to go.
I like Bride. Bride's pretty good.
Well, it's good, but again, like comparing it to this one.
Yeah, it's true. But
like because Bride...
It's like, not like Frankenstein and Bride of Frankenstein where that one's the better one.
Yeah, well, the thing about this is like in like I was saying, any kind of 80s horror movie, there's always a step down because what usually happens once they think they're about to make a franchise is the second one gets hokier, right? And the second one, they brought in the weird dancing finger monster.
I was going to say the dancing finger monster.
So you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, yes, I do enjoy it, but no, you can't tell me it's a better true horror movie, right? Like, that's the thing. It might be more entertaining.
It's way more fun, though.
Yes, and that's usually what happens in the horror. Like, again, like, we're both horror people. We both love horror movies. That is usually what happens in the franchise. That's part of why we love them, is that after the first one, they get silly. They get sillier fun, and sillier, self-referential,
to the point,
like
to
laughing
the point
at
where like Jason goes to hell. And
yes,
shit.
And so like
or space. I love that one.
X. They don't call it that. Though.
It's Jason in space. They can kiss my ass.
But yeah, this is that. Again, like so. This is one of those things where the second one gets a little hokey, a little silly.
But you got to show your friends this one first.
Oh, well, again, it makes so...
This is the entrance. Like, this is their exam for like, are you cool enough to be part of the horror club?
The second one wouldn't make sense.
It really would.
Without stopping to see some of this.
It like starts right at the end of the first one, right?
Yes, literally, it's right at the end.
Picks up right at the end.
And so if you didn't know, you would definitely be walking into a world of like, what am I seeing? What is going on here?
I mean, this one starts off pretty like, what the fuck's happening too?
But it's okay. It sets the story up for you really quick.
The
world that you walk into from the end of this one into the second one, though, is a lot wilder of a place to walk in not knowing.
Well, Dr. West has his craft more refined by the second one. He can do
we'll even get there because I don't even know It's weird that we'll get there. I don't even know if we should have a second one, really. By story, not
by
by
the story in this one.
Before we get into this, let's go ahead. Let's stop and do our little bit of roundup that we need to take care of.
Everybody
here.
has to know who's in it first.
Well, and we have to learn these things. Like we said, part of what we're going to start doing is just like we're on this tour learning more about beer as we go. We are forcing ourselves to realize that we should learn about
more about
directors
movies
and writers and what things they've done.
How movies are made and shit.
So, in fairness to that, the director for this movie is Stuart Gordon. I'm not trying to say I did the research. You don't have to.
Nice.
So he's not done a lot of directing. By no means should you know this name as a director. Don't come
Unless
at me. Don't come at me if you know him.
You're one of us, right?
Yeah,
then you've probably seen
because he's done this. He did a few of these H.P. Lovecraft horror movies in the 80s.
They're all good.
Yeah, they're all great. Well, and again, like they all have connection to some of the actors and the writer to this one.
Jeffrey Combs is in most
Yeah,
of them. So I think Barbara Crampton's in most of them too.
Yeah. So again, like there's a lot of connection between them. But so outside of the horror world, you might know the name Stuart Gordon. He was a writer as well, and he's got a really big claim to fame, yeah, which is he is the person who was the story writer for Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and the sequel.
That blew my fucking mind when you told me that earlier.
It's insane. I was not ready for that while I was looking this stuff up.
I'm over here, I'm like, no, he didn't. The guy who directed all this sick shit made that happy-go-lucky fucking movie.
Yes, he did. And so he is also credited on every project and side project connected to it because he created the Zelenskys.
Yeah, I mean, that means he got paid no matter what they did too, right?
Oh, definitely, yeah. So again...
give me that royalty check, bitch.
Good on him. It was just a little bit weird. Again, what is my childhood? I don't even understand this anymore. You know, we got the Radio Flyer Sandlot connection. Now we find this out.
Now we got this one.
Our
childhoods were way more interconnected than we thought.
Than we ever realized.
Dude, the multiverse is real.
I guess something is happening.
The
here
KFCU,
for sure.
the Kentucky Fried Universe.
But yeah, something is definitely happening here. So then, the writer to this is Dennis Paoli. I don't know how to. Again, you know me.
Peyote.
No, Paoli.
That's not nearly as fun though.
Yeah, well, again, we can't just...
That's the guy you want to take to the desert
you
and trip
can't
balls with, right?
You can mispronounce a name. You can't throw an extra letter into it. That's too far.
All right.
Yeah, so he, again, like I said, he wrote this. He is connected to the same H.P. Lovecraft from Beyond.
I feel like this was kind of like a Tolkien, S.C. Lewis kind of thing. They all just kind of hung out and read H.P. Lovecraft all the time.
Oh, probably. I wouldn't doubt it. To be into this... notable connection of these as
and
they
then
are.
To do like 5 movies all based off of the stories.
Well, and then I want to say Paoli was also a writer for the 90s Body Snatchers movie. Nice. The darker looking one, you know, not the
we need to do
the
that
Invasion
one.
Returns or whatever.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
It's Body Snatchers.
Yeah, it's just
that's why I was saying
Body Snatchers. But
well, it's not Invasion. That's why I keep wondering. That one is the hokey one. That's what I'm trying to make sure people understand. The dark one is just Body Snatchers. Return of the Invasion or something stupid. You know what I'm
there's
saying?
a tagline.
The Invasion Returns or something stupid. But yeah, it is not Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I want to make sure because there is one of those and it's not as fun.
Oh, there's several of those.
They do made for TV movies like every 10 years or something. Yeah. So again, I want to make sure they find that one. I want the dark one.
The fucked up one.
The one that would connect
the one
back
you're
to
going to
these.
watch thinking it's the hokey ass one, and then by the end of it you're like, what the fuck did I just see?
Yeah, it's good. So yeah,
recommendation 1 right there.
But so on to the actors, like we've already mentioned, several of these people were in a lot of projects together, all made by the same company with the directors and the writer. And most notably of those is Jeffrey Combs.
I love Jeffrey Combs.
Our main character. So it's one of those movies where I struggle to know if he is or if Dan is. Who's technically the main character?
I feel like West is the main character, but Dan is still the hero.
I feel like they're both just main characters to different stories, and we're only getting half of each, right? Like, that's what it really is.
I'll take that. That sounds good.
He is made for this role.
Yeah, he is.
Right? Herbert West.
Herbert West. He's not very tall. He's really nerdy in the glasses and shit, but he's like somehow still intimidating.
Well,
he has like this psychopathic eyes.
Yes. weird. It's I don't want to. It's not brooding, right?
No.
Because it's not something that you could ever see a female being attracted to. And brooding is like that
Yeah,
kind of like
the angel.
yeah. But he's definitely got something about him where it's
It's
just
like
this menacing something all the
Meg
time.
immediately hates him in this movie as soon as she
you can
sees
see
him.
it. Like I mean, he's definitely. It's not favorable. You don't enjoy it. Again, outside of these movies, I mean, none of these people are people I'm going to tell you this is true cult. This is true cult horror movie. This horror status, right? Like,
Yeah.
these are actors who have mainly done cult horror movies. They've not done stuff outside of cult horror movies. And Jeffrey Combs, again, like, he's done this. He's done From Beyond. He's done
Castle Freak.
Yeah, he's done
Castle
a couple.
Freak is good.
He's done a couple of these other cult horror movies.
He is a Star Trek alum, though. He's in DS9 as Wei-Yun, one of the Vorta, I think's what they're called, the aliens, and he's Commander Shran from Enterprise.
Nice,
the Andorian.
Nice. Yeah.
But he's always in full makeup in that, so you wouldn't recognize him.
But yeah, he is definitely outside of horror movies. You're not gonna recognize him usually.
No, not really.
He is good. I love.
He does a lot of voice acting, apparently.
Does he? I didn't do the deep dive on any of these people because, again, like, you know, most of the things that are automatically shown are the B-rated horror movies. So it's like, yeah, I mean, most people aren't gonna know things past these. Bruce Abbott is our next one. Bruce Abbott, he is the guy who played Dan Kane. Yeah, that's Dan Kane, not
Dean Kane, not right? Superman.
Like, again, though, did you not feel that every time they said Dan Kane? Did you not feel for a second like
he would have worked in this?
In 85, he wouldn't have been old.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to remember.
He'd have been like 16.
Yeah, you got to remember your time frames here.
Lois and Clark was in the 90s.
Plus, just because his name sounds like the character, like, sometimes guys luck out, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you get the part because your name.
Wow, you're named exactly the same as the main character. What a coincidence!
You got it.
You got it. Your job. Can you act? No. So, too bad.
Just because that happens it's not a guarantee. But yeah, every time they said Dan Kane, I kept just feeling like they're mispronouncing Dean Kane. I was like, "What?
Name's Dean."
Well, and the guy kind of looks like he could be like a
really
Dean Kane, like stunt double or something. Like,
yeah, a little bit.
If he had a tan,
and his face was just a little fatter, give him a sandwich.
Well, yeah, he's too young right now. Wait about 5 years. Like, for Lois and Clark time, he might have been able to do
perfect,
it. Right? Yeah. After those two, though, our next one's gonna be Barbara Crampton. Again, these are just. If you aren't in cult horror fandom, you don't know these names. If you are, then you know.
Yeah,
these
you're
people.
like, oh, I loved her in this movie. She's great in Castle Freak. She really is.
Well, and again, she's in From Beyond. Yep. She's these people are all connected together.
There's another one that came out a few years ago that her and Jeffrey Combs were in together.
See,
it was like they reunited
to do it. It was a big deal. See, I don't know.
Remember what
I don't think I saw it. The last person though that I even want to mention here is David Gale, the guy who played Dr. Hill. Again, I'm mentioning these names at this point just because I feel like we should.
Yeah, they deserve the credit.
But I couldn't tell you anything that I expect other people to know him from.
No, I got nothing. I think
if you Google David Gale, you're still even probably going to get that weird The Life of Henry Gale or whatever movie. Yeah. That's what's going to come up. Like, this is what I'm even saying. Like, I'm not even. I'm telling you the work is hard to put in to find some of this stuff. So.
But he's great in this.
Yes. Oh, it's a great movie. He did good.
Terrifying.
May have lost his wife because his acting was so
it was so convincing.
That's why I wanted to bring him up because he has a notable story attached with him.
Can I tell the urban legend version?
You tell the urban legend version.
You tell what actually probably happened? Okay. Urban legend. There's a scene in this movie where he's a severed head and he's going to like put his face in the chick's crotch, right? And according to the legend, like his wife came in right while they were filming that scene and she just like screams over everybody like, David, how could you? And like runs the fuck away. And then he had to like finish the scene.
Now, again, I don't even know. Bo found this in one place.
Place, and it cracked me the fuck up.
So again, like urban legends.
That's a pretty outlandish story.
It is. But what I was going to say is urban legend status, I would say, is if you've heard it before, you probably haven't even heard that version. Because I didn't even see this version when I was looking it all up. Everything else I saw, the stories were all different on where she found out for sure.
Yeah.
But that as soon as she found out and saw the movie, not like that she walked in, she wasn't there during filming.
Yeah, she didn't come on set.
Yeah.
That's just the legend.
Yeah. Somehow after filming, she stumbled onto it. Well, she had heard it was bad, knew it was raunchy,
Yeah.
and then saw the movie and was convinced something had gone untoward during the filming of
Yeah,
the movie.
because David Gale's such a sexy man. Barbara Crampton was
yeah.
all over
Well,
him,
and there's
right?
the own like 30-year age
Yeah,
difference
dude.
between the two of them or something.
No problem.
But yeah, so she was convinced something had happened or something. But either way, the real story here is she 100% did leave him
Poor guy.
because of
This
that
movie.
scene. Now, again, other people need to do the legwork for us. Tell us what the actual urban legend is. If you've heard this 1,000 times, tell us which version you heard 1,000 times. Because we don't know that. I know I saw it once, Bo saw it once, and none of the others. And so, like, again, that one's, it is the wildest one. I'm not going to downplay that is the wildest. And if that's the true one, that's crazier.
Awesome.
But most accounts I saw would say that's not. Like, like a lot of the fellow
Was
actors.
she at the premiere? Do we know?
Well, the premiere is part of like when she saw it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So like that's where a lot of people's account of her going crazy comes from.
Get up, start slapping him with her.
Well,
purse.
and so again,
You
like
son of a bitch.
Since so many of the accounts that I read were of people from saying that at the premiere, it seems unlikely that she had stumbled into the
filming
because she already would have known at that point,
Yeah.
right? Like unless she had gotten mad at him during filming and said, if you let them keep that in the movie.
Yeah, that's true.
So again, that's why I'm trying to
She
say, like,
demanded it was cut and
Yeah.
it wasn't.
so by all means, if you know more or you've heard other parts of the
Yes,
story,
let us
like
know.
seriously, like this wasn't one of those like I want one of us to be right or wrong. I just want to know more.
Right, we
'cause
wanna
it
know,
seems
like,
like there is
Somehow this movie ruined this poor guy's
Yeah.
life.
Well, and it just seems like there are pieces missing. And so
Right.
like if you've been to like conventions where you've heard them talk privately and they've given more, tell us. Like
Has
I want in on
Anybody
that.
talk to him about it? Give me like
Well,
first hand.
he's got to be gone,
I
right?
mean,
I mean,
like,
he was pretty old back. I mean,
some of our viewers might be old enough to have gone to a convention back.
well,
in
remember
the 90s.
convention circles weren't as big back then.
Remember super nerds, king nerds, elder nerds. That's what they'd be at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, and again, that would have been more the time frame that they were hitting conventions.
Yeah, those
like
are
those people would have been at conventions
Yeah.
originally. Yeah. So maybe let's hope so. Again, I don't care when you saw them, where you heard
Let
the
us
story
know.
from. I don't care if you don't trust the validity of the story. If you think you have more information about that topic, tell us.
Nice. We did that at the same time. That was awesome.
I think from there, like I said, that's everybody I really needed to mention. Like I said, nobody
Yeah.
here is super popular. You're not finding them in tons of
I didn't
things.
notice any surprising.
No, there
background
weren't. Yeah, I was gonna say
character.
there weren't even any of those. There weren't like those guys.
no
There
those
weren't-
guys.
There weren't any like
Are
surprising.
those guys are the main
pop-ups.
characters.
Yeah, yeah. So we can just go ahead and roll into the
Yeah,
movie.
let's
for
do
sure.
this.
Uh,
The awesome cold open in Switzerland.
Dude, it's like not even a cold open. You know what I mean? Like this is one of those things where if you didn't know someone had just started a movie,
You'd
and
think
you were
this was
sitting
like
there,
in the middle,
you'd
right?
think you had just walked into the middle. If you walked in right when that first scene started, you would just be like,
Whoa,
"Oh,
what
you
the
guys are
fuck did I
halfway through."
miss?
Yeah, you guys are halfway through a movie right now.
All right, what happened?
Because
how'd we get
it
here?
starts so abrupt. It's just like, oh, here's the movie.
Right, dude. It's like
There's no
fucking
sound.
nothing. Just cops walking down a hallway and they start.
Exterior shot of school
Oh,
first.
yeah, first. Because we have to know we're in Zurich, right?
Despite the fact that everything I saw would have made me believe Germany, not Switzerland.
Yeah.
100%. Not even just the fact that they are speaking German, but I mean like everything you see. The coldness, the sterileness. I've felt way more, or Austrian even. Like
Yeah.
I definitely didn't feel like I was in Switzerland per se.
Yeah, because all of the Swiss just sit around and make chocolate, right?
Yeah.
You know,
But so-
they're
yeah.
they're happily chocolate elves over there in Switzerland.
But so we see them walk down the hallway on their way to try to find Dr. Gruber.
Yeah, because the nurse is like, something's happened,
To Dr. Gruber.
and
She's got no specific, like this is such a, again, the opening
Yeah.
is so weird because we don't know what triggered her to feel that way. We
she
don't know
doesn't
why
say
she
anything.
called them.
She doesn't say anything like, I heard screaming.
Nothing
She's
like
just-
that.
She's just like, over there, and then we hear the screaming, and everybody's like, Dr. Gruber,
Now, I want to say,
open the door.
did you notice when they got to the door, like his name is supposed to be, like Gruber is his last name, right?
Yeah.
Did you notice on the door, the placard does say Dr. Gruber, but it's Dr. Gruber something. Gruber is his first name on the
Oh.
placard.
No, I didn't catch that.
And I'm sure it's because they were just using an actual door, and they were like, "We'll let his name be." But it's like they didn't want us to notice that there was another name.
Smudge it out a little bit. A little Vaseline, make
Well,
it hard to read.
it's even before that. They just tried to make sure that the one dude's elbow was constantly like in front of most of the door. But if you make it out, it's like a second. His last name is another G name, but it's not.
Gruber Gruperston.
I swear it is like that. It really is. It was really
We call him
wild.
Dr. Gruber. It's easier.
That's how I felt, but then like later on they tell you it's like Hans Gruber or
Yeah.
something. It's something weird. It's definitely a solid first last name when Gruber is the last name. Small detail. Don't know why it bothered. Again, this is the kind of thing you pick up on when you watch a
it
movie like
multiple
3-4 times in a 2-3 day window.
At least it hasn't ruined any of the movies for us so far.
No, I still enjoy this. I'll still watch.
I
this
was worried
plenty.
about that when we first started. I was like, man, do you like watching movies on repeat? And
If
we're
anything,
like,
it's made me
start
go
to
back and
hate
watch
it.
more of them.
Yeah, it's like, no,
Again,
now I gotta go
it's
back
made
to
me
other
realize
ones.
why I used to watch them so much and why did I stop? You know, like
Yeah,
so.
why did I-
Actually, it's
Remember, you just had that like 5 movies in your fucking cabinet. You just watched them on repeat all the time.
and now it just in a world of streaming, it like I got to where I never did that. I
Yeah.
never rewatched anything, and so now I'm just like, oh yeah, I do enjoy these. I need to just watch these again.
Soldier with Kurt
It's a
Russell,
good one.
dude. Can't find it anywhere.
I'm not sure.
Totally off topic, but continue.
But so yeah, the doctors, the cops burst into the office. As they burst in, we see our Herbert West. We don't get introduced to him yet. We just know he's there.
No.
Lab assistant
They're
is
just
best
like
we
yelling at him. He's got the needle in his hand and he's over the body and it's like he's like screaming and stuff and they're like, "What did you do?" He's like, "No, get away from me. You're gonna ruin my notes. I have to check his vitals."
get. And then his eyes
Just
explode.
all over the nerve.
Did you see the intense like neon
Yes.
pink they got for a second?
That was awesome.
And
That tells you what kind of movie you're in for right there.
Well,
doesn't it?
immediately after they explode, the nurse woman yells, "You've killed him." And instead of like anything else that could be said, Herbert looks at her and says, "Of course, the dosage was off."
Yeah,
like
the dosage was far too large. Of course he's dead.
The way he says that, so
matter of fact.
It's like, dude, what the?
You think
fuck?
he tried to stop him? Like the doctor was like, "No, this will be fine."
Well, but no, because think about it. This is the part I was going to say to you is the very first weirdness of this movie, right? When we see later he uses this on the cat or the next dead bodies, he tells us first time he's ever done anything like that. So did he inject the doctor alive with this? But it is a reanimator. He knew that's what it was. What happened in that room? He definitely didn't kill the
Did he have
doctor.
a
We
heart
see the
attack,
first
maybe?
time. We see the first time he kills a person.
Yeah.
And he tells us it's the first time he's ever had to do that.
Had a heart attack, stroke.
But you see what I mean, though? Like,
Right, he
how
was pretty
random
old.
is this? How random is it? We have no
And he
idea
was
what
just like-
happened to the.
He is
and
the kind of guy, as we find out through the movie.
Oh, yeah,
that
no,
would
he
just
was
be
an
like,
opportunist.
"Ah,
He's an opportunist, 100%.
anything that just happens to die
Yeah.
around him, fair game, right?"
But we don't get told any of
No,
that.
no,
We
no.
don't
We just
know-
walk into this guy screaming with blood and his eyes burst.
And again, we know that he definitely died
Yeah.
because he tells us immediately after that when they say you've killed him. He says,
I did not.
"I gave him life." So we know he did die, right? Because if he had just injected him with this
Yeah.
stuff,
Of course, it'd probably kill you, right?
Right, yeah.
Because you're not dead.
you're not dead. What's it doing? It's reanimating
Nothing.
alive tissue.
Reanimating your dead skin cells that flake off. So
Well,
that
then it
you
would just be giving you giant tumors.
yeah.
right?
So you'd explode.
You'd be like the frog.
yeah,
in the Hulk.
The Hulk. Yeah. That explains why his eyes explode.
Maybe. Man, now see
now we're back to square one.
But you see,
Fuck.
you see my point though about how weird
Yeah.
that whole the opening is. It's just like I don't exactly understand what part of the scientific process in this fluid we were at.
I don't know, but it was awesome. And then we get the cool music and the
Again,
pictures and shit.
I love the music. And again, when we talk about how sometimes the music that starts a movie can really influence how you feel about the movie, man, this one gets you there.
Oh, it'll get stuck in your head too.
It's totally like it's meant to be reminiscent of old school Hitchcock. So we're talking like
Psycho,
Rear Window, Psycho, Vertigo. Yeah, it's all those like,
like that
very
one.
like mysterious, dark kind of music that's playing. But this has got such like just slight edge to it because it was made in the 80s, right? Like I don't know what about it. because again, it's not like it's like overly synth. It's not like it's anything
No,
like
it's just
that.
awesome.
But something about it, you can just tell that this was done in the 80s and it's made to feel like the 60s, and I love it, dude. Like I love the vibe it gives. I love the crazy Grey's Anatomy pictures.
Yeah, with all the body parts and
Yeah,
shit,
well,
they
it's-
like
there's-
shift and morph into other pieces.
They're straight up the it is
From an
literally
anatomy book,
it
yeah.
is Grey's Anatomy like diagram paintings and
Oh
stuff.
yeah, that's an actual book, not just a TV show. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, I wasn't trying to refer to the TV
I was
show.
for a second. I was like, why is he talking about the show?
I was referring to the book. Yeah, I was referring to the anatomy book.
That's right. I forgot that was a thing.
The
I'm
world,
dumb. Go
the
ahead.
world-renowned anatomy book.
The like first book
The
you
reason
get
they
when you go to
well,
medical
yeah,
school.
the reason they named the show that because she's supposed to be related. I've never watched the show.
I haven't either.
She's supposed to be related to the people. That's why it is Grey's Anatomy. She's related to the people. The guy who wrote the book.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah. I think. Don't come at me, guys.
The
if
only
I'm
medical
wrong.
show I liked was Scrubs, and that's because it was funny.
But yeah, so we do get these trippy, like overlapped, layered color scheme, schematic things from Grey's Anatomy, the book, not the
Not the
show.
show.
No McDreamy popping up in the intro here.
Really?
Swear.
Damn.
Well, I mean, maybe it all depends on. What
I don't know.
your-
That one skull had some real nice bone structure.
It also all depends on what your views on Dan Kane are. If you
I
think
mean-
he's McDreamy, then maybe
He's
we
got
have
some-
our own
He's got the
McDreamy.
cheekbones. I mean, he's pretty good.
But that's exactly where we go to as soon as we finish with our little trippy, beautiful intro. Here is into the medical facility of the of the teaching hospital, right? Miskatonic. When I was in college, there was a Miskatonic student union. It was a group of kids that were all about like this type of stuff. So yeah, it was a weird. It's them making a weird H.P. Lovecraft type reference because he liked weird animal monsters. Yeah. But so yeah, we get the cut into literally he's trying to save a person.
Yeah,
right?
he's
like,
giving the CPR.
He's hitting her with the paddles.
The doctor's even over like, she's dead, man.
And he's
You
just
need
like,
to-
no.
You can keep going. She just needs more time for the drugs to
Yeah.
circulate.
He's a bleeding heart. He just can't let
it
her
go.
Literally, the teaching doctor called him on that. Like, look, part of being a doctor is sometimes you gotta realize it. You gotta make the call.
Yeah,
no one else is doing
nothing
it.
else we can do.
Pull the plug. And she was mad at him. So it lets you know that this must happen a lot, right? Like this is not the first time he's done this.
It's like, God, he CPR'd somebody for 45 minutes.
So
one
she
time.
punishes him. She was like, not only are we done, you got to be the one to take him to the morgue.
You get to bag her and tag her.
And you can tell at this point that maybe Dan is not meant to be a doctor, right? He seems like he is very uneasy. Like the moment this person was not alive anymore, he seemed
didn't want
very
anything-
uneasy with the body.
Yeah.
He was very uneasy once he got into the morgue.
He has a very profound fear of death.
Right? Like you
Which
can
I
tell.
think is why he's susceptible to West's
Maybe.
bullshit later.
But he gets down to that morgue and he wheels her in. That arm for the
No,
one
he
beside
just-
him.
He daintily just like moves it out of the way.
And then I guess Rigger was just so set in it
Flops
drops right
and
back
he kinda
down.
jumps like, and then he like does the whole like,
He
oh
scoots
God,
past it.
scoots
Again,
past it.
like I said, everything about
He
him
doesn't like dead bodies.
Everything about him lets you know that again, he can handle the blood, he can handle the guts, but something about the transition from being alive to dead,
being meat, he doesn't like.
He can't handle that transition.
No.
It's not for him. Like I said, he maybe isn't gonna be the best doctor in the world.
Yep.
But while he's down there, we get our first glimpse of the money maker of this university,
The
right?
grant machine.
As we get told
Dr.
later.
Hill.
Using his specially made his own.
Yeah,
this
he
is
invented
his
this.
device.
Laser
Laser
drill.
Holy shit.
And he just boring a hole in this poor bastard.
I love that they even called it a drill, but they're using it for lobotomies because I was like, look, guys, I think we're supposed to be like, I know that that's what we might say it is, but it's got a medical term.
Yeah.
We don't just say you're drilling into people's heads anymore. We have real words to make
I
people
don't know
feel
what they
better
are,
about it.
but
Yeah,
I'm sure
I don't
there's
either.
a much nicer word than we're gonna drill into your brain,
Even if you're
with this
using-
laser.
Right? Well, that's why in some movies, like even though it does exactly what it does in this movie, they would still call it a laser scalpel.
Yeah, like on Star Trek.
Yeah, right? Because that way you at least feel like it's a medical device
And not just a power tool.
that is being used
You
on a
hear
person.
drill and you think saw, right? And you got the crazy guy coming at you.
Well, and did you notice that even wanted the laser to have a slight drill
It
sound?
did. It had a noise.
It wasn't
That's
quite drill. It
unnecessary.
wasn't like spin, but
But
it
it
definitely
w-
had
it
some
had
kind
a-
of
it had a-
high pitch something. Yeah,
noise.
I
Just
loved
to
it.
unsettle you slightly.
But yeah, so we see that he is not alone in the morgue,
No.
like he thought originally, and then he gets super startled because it's
the
not
dean-
even just him and
and
Dr. Hill.
he's doing the weird thing with the Q-tip, sticking it in the brain.
Oh man, that was so weird.
And then the fucking dean of the school just magics next to him. Hey, Dr. Kane,
well,
how you
and
doing?
Herbert's back there in the corner,
just skulking.
which leads to the one of the first again these guys' first interactions with each other, and it's instantly Herbert correcting his grammar.
Yep.
I didn't think I would, or what was it? It's something like
I didn't know anybody else was here.
No, he didn't say else. I didn't think anybody was here, and he goes, anybody else. And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude, you just met this guy. What is this about? Where did that come from?
The dean's trying to be all nice and shit. He's like, oh, he's going to be joining you for
Oh, yes, Dr. Hill. He studied under, I think you're going to appreciate this.
Yeah,
Dr. Gruber. You know that guy, right? And then we immediately, dude, Herbert rips into, this is to really set up for
Yeah,
us.
I bet he knows his work. He's ripped off so many of his ideas. His work is considered plagiarism in Europe.
Again, this sets up for us a few things. One, that Dr. Gruber, who we saw die, was indeed the mentor to West, right? Because again, without this scene, we wouldn't have known that. We don't know anything about what just happened. But we also find out that Gruber himself probably helped West make everything. You know, again, Gruber was doing this research. Gruber was into the same kind of like how long someone's actually dead and how
brain death.
Yeah,
they're obsessed with it.
And
what was it? Hill's theory was the 6 to 12.
Well,
minutes.
that was my next one because it's like while they're in the middle of that conversation, introducing him and being like, yeah, he knows that person, and he says the European thing. The specific thing he says to Dr. Hill is, yeah, I've seen that your studies about where the human will is in the brain, like it being a mapped out location. He kind of chuckled at that. That came from his work in the 70s, right? He's like, that was derivative of his stuff from the 70s. He's done much more research since then. But then he goes, and then you also your bizarre belief in the 12-minute limit. That's exactly how Herbert words it, which is fair. And then Hill gets mad at him and goes 6 to 12 minutes, which doesn't make Herbert's statement wrong.
No.
12-minute limit implies...
You just know it's the max.
Well, that's what limit means.
Yeah.
And so again, Herbert said a factual statement and then Hill got mad at him and said, no, 6 to 12. And it's like, his problem is that he doesn't believe 12 is the max, dude. So like doubling down on saying 6 to 12.
See, what I'm hearing is you're pretty sure it's 6. You just want to think it's 12.
Which means I think you're even more wrong.
Right.
Right? Like,
you're not a good doctor, are you?
So I just didn't understand that. I was like, I feel like Hill doesn't know what hill he wants to die on right now, and that's not the right one.
He just knows he doesn't like this little upstart prick coming at him. Well, he knows, I am the high and mighty Dr. Hill.
Well, because he knows that this kid can sell his secrets out, right? Because again, he is a hack. He is just a guy who steals other people's research. He probably learned under Gruber before Gruber left the States, right? Like, I think the implication we can all get here is that Gruber worked here, got too controversial, had to go back to Europe, right? And so this guy was most likely a student of his
him back
in the US,
70s.
and that's why he doesn't know any of his research after he was forced to leave.
That's why he doesn't have the serum and West does, because he's the new protege.
Well, it's why he also believes that 12 minutes is the limit, because he didn't see any of the work Gruber did after he made that original hypothesis, right?
So it sounds like West is like, oh, 12 minutes is ridiculous, but really it's like 12 minutes is ridiculous because we can go way past
no,
that.
and that's what he's saying. Yeah, that's exactly what he was saying.
We don't know that yet.
Which is why it's so crazy that Hill says 6 to 12 because it's just like, no, dude, but you're focusing on the wrong wrong side of that.
Wrong side of it, man.
Yeah.
Like we can go way past 12 minutes.
Yeah.
That's what West is trying to tell you with his eyes. Those
Well, and
psycho
again, exactly.
eyes.
Like even if you just heard them say it, you might be like, well, I don't know. Maybe he did mean that. If you see him, you know what he meant. And you're just like, how did Dr. Hill ever get that wrong? But
Got
yeah,
mad when thinking.
I guess so. But so we see from this though that Hill does not want West to be a student.
No.
But he has no say over it because the dean is very excited.
I look forward to seeing you in class, Mr. West.
This is when we get to see the relationship.
Oh, with Meg? This is where Meg comes in?
Because
Dan's putting the roommate
cleaning,
notice.
Well, he's cleaning himself up. He cleaned himself up from morgue duty and doctor duty. Went out to the commons area of the school, put up his little sign.
I need a roommate.
Boop. Darkwood. Did you notice that was the name of his street? I was like, all right.
That's a nice, cool name. I'd live on Darkwood.
But yeah, so he's looking for a roommate, and some random girl first is just like, you're like, what is this bitch doing? She's like creepy from the hallway, right? She's like looking at him like,
around the corner.
Darts underneath him to kiss him, and you're like, I hope he knows her.
I do not consent.
Well, and then as soon as we get a little bit more, he starts to kiss her, and then she is like, no,
all giggly and shit.
I
love this transition.
The way the movie handles this transition is insanely perfect.
It's
It's no, yes. I was
automatically
like,
into bed, just cuts right to it. Fantastic.
Perfect. Everything gets stopped by the cat.
Fucking cat.
This was
cock blocking cat.
Oh man, dude, and that had to hurt.
Even Dan calls it out. He's like, "Thanks a lot, buddy."
This had to hurt too.
Right on his back.
Bare back. Stops
Big
everything.
squall.
Stops everything.
And then she's like, "I have to leave anyway," so because my dad knows I'm here.
I was about to say, sets up a little bit more for us exactly what happened there, because again, the movie didn't tell us nothing.
No,
just
it just goes, no, yes.
But so yeah, it sets up a little bit for us. We see they are dating, but her dad doesn't approve.
He's like the last Puritan ever, she says.
Her dad is the dean. What's funny is she says he doesn't approve right now, right? And that they can't be official like that.
But the second he becomes a doctor.
But he goes to pick her up from the house, and the dad says they're dating in front of everyone. You get what I mean? Like, they say it right now.
It's not like okay with them banging, I guess.
Maybe, but that's not even what the conversation was specifically about them dating. Like, we're not supposed to be doing.
I'm not even supposed to fucking be here.
And again, my point being, it's his college, and they were making out in a hallway in the commons.
Right, like everybody should know.
Well, and again, I bring this up because later Herbert tries to use it like a threat against them.
He does.
Too.
He tries to like use it as blackmail.
And it's like, but how does this work as blackmail? Oh, we got to get back. We're
gonna just the sex?
We're gonna jump too far ahead for me if we start right now.
Yeah.
Because we got to talk about a few things before that. But yeah, so they are done having sex. Everything's done there.
He's chasing her around in the sheet.
Yes, it was so.
He's like, I'm a ghost. Woo. And she's like, no. And tries to go out the door, and she opens it, and there's
Herbert's
West.
standing there. Holy crap!
It's creepy as
Proven how
fuck.
creepy he is. And he comes inside. He's like, I saw you had to sign for a roommate. He's so.
I appear to have startled you. Well,
He's
yeah,
so-
you did.
So cold. This is also the point where I want to bring out, because soon it's going to be gone, so we have to mention it now before it's gone. The accent he has.
Yeah, he has this weird like.
I don't even know what to call it.
I don't
dude.
either. It's like he's really enunciating every word.
His
right?
accent is very, very. It was a choice.
Yeah,
I'm gonna leave it at that.
It
I don't
had
even know what to say. It is.
It's not an actual accent. He's just doing a weird.
But yeah, he'll lose it soon.
Yeah,
that's why we need to bring it up
like
now.
10 minutes. It'll go away.
But yeah, this is probably one of the scenes where you both this and when he first
Makes
got
him
introduced.
sound creepy. I
yes.
guess.
Both right now when he's talking to Kane and when he first got introduced to Hill, his accent was super thick, and it was like, what is? I don't even understand what's. Again, only to add ambiance to the creepiness.
It comes back at the very end of the movie.
Does it? I was so caught up by that
when
point.
he comes in and he's just like, get a job at a sideshow. He does that weird fucking speech to him.
A little bit, yeah.
I was like, oh, he's kind of got the voice back again. It's only when he's confident.
Maybe.
That's his stuck-up voice.
But so he does say he wants to get the room, but he does not even worry about seeing the room.
No,
Did you
he's
notice
more
that?
interested in a basement.
He said, "Can I see the basement? Let
and
me
he
see the
gets
basement,
super excited.
please."
This is
And they
the
take him to the
best.
basement, and he's just like, "Oh,
It's
yeah,
perfect.
It's perfect.
Oh my
This is what I
God.
want.
I'm
This
gonna
is what I
come
want.
down here and
I
I'm gonna
definitely want to live
jerk it
here
so much.
I mean, you'll never hear from me. I'm the perfect roommate, except for on the first, because I have rent."
Hey, he's got cash too.
The way he said all that was so just great.
I think
And
that's
he
what
said,
sold
"I have
him.
cash," and Dan says, "Okay." Instantly.
Meg is like, no. She's like eyeballing him, like, do not
well.
do this.
Obviously, you shouldn't. Dude seems weird,
He
but
paid
even
cash.
beyond that, I don't care. The next line out of his mouth after he got told he could move in is what was crazy. "Oh, my stuff's right out there. I'll start right now."
All your shit?
Do you see how much stuff he moves in? When we
That's
see
a
this
lot of-
first,
so
this
there's
first
just a
pan,
moving truck
there's
out
a
there.
full lab downstairs. He has a full room set up.
There's a mini fridge.
There's a lot for him to say my stuff is right out there.
He just packed that shit on the bus.
On that note, though, he officially moves in. I mean, again, like it or not, Megan doesn't get a say-so.
Yeah, it's not her house.
It's not her place, despite the fact that she is already the kind of person who made him get a cat. Like you, right? You get
Yeah,
that
I feel
feeling
like that's
too.
not really
That's not his
cat.
cat. That's her cat. The way she talks about it. Oh, but Rudy loves coming out whenever
Yeah.
we're together.
It's always, he's always here. Rufus, he's usually breaking something. That's later, but
And then, well, yeah. But
Yeah.
again, like everything to do with the cat. Like,
definitely
it is crazy.
probably more her cat.
Yeah. Well, he's always like he's fucking a shithead about the cat every time he's got to talk about the cat. He's like,
Yeah,
"That
it's
fucking cat. Let me
somewhere.
find that cat wherever it is."
Thanks for cock blocking me, asshole.
We then leave our magical apartment realm to see we get no real time jump
Next
like
day, I
nothing
guess?
tells us for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if it's the next day because he seems like he's definitely fully like if you're that enrolled like that well into class, maybe you're just like fully into it. But
Yeah.
certainly within the first like week of him being there and in class now, he's sitting in on Dr. Hill's class.
And then he's cutting open the head.
Peels back
Peels it
just like an orange.
Like a large orange, right? And just rips the scalp and shit off the skull. It's so gross.
And then he starts talking about his theories.
Yeah, the
right?
6 to 12
Well,
minutes.
He even says the will. He's like, yeah, and if you were to take something and go right from this point here in,
Where
you'd
the
hit this part,
will-
yeah, where will is controlled, and blah 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 blah. And then he mentions the 6 to 12 minutes, and he says it.
6
He
12
says it to be
minutes.
such an ass,
Looking right at
And he
West.
snaps the pencil.
Every time he says something he doesn't like, he snaps another pencil and, shit.
And then
just slowly pulls another one
to the
out.
point that Dr. Hill stops and goes, "Class is over," looks at him dead in the eye and says, "And I suggest, Mr. West, the next time you buy a pen."
Snap. I just snapped another one, right?
I expected him to. I
Right.
expected one more
Hey,
pencil
but
break.
no, he just goes off. He gets up and he's just
Oh,
like,
no,
I
he-
can't believe you're teaching these people this drivel. If you
he-
stole
yes.
more ideas from Dr. Gruber, maybe you'd have a few of your own, you know?
He full on goes off on this whole...
The whole rest of the class is just
Everybody
like,
is just standing there like, "Oh,
shit."
crap." And I felt... It's the only time I feel a little bit bad for Hill because I was like, damn, dude, not for nothing. It's your fault.
Yeah, a little
You're
bit.
getting this barrage because you decide, like, if class was in session, he wouldn't have said that. Like, that was
Yeah,
the
you
pencil
just
breaking
missed
was because he
class.
was biting his tongue to not say shit about the teacher, right? Class is over. You're not
Full-
officially the teacher right now. Class is out of session.
Guns are out, man.
Right?
Let's go.
He brought this on himself. And
And he
fucking-
lets him have it,
West
man.
goes
It was
at him,
great.
dude. I would have felt small.
All Hill has in response is, I'm going to look forward to failing
Yes.
you. It's all he's got. Because he knows he's been stealing people's fucking shit.
Yes. What's the next scene is the date, right? The dinner at the
dinner
dean's
at the
house?
dean's house.
Dinner at the dean's house.
where Hill starts being super fucking creepy.
This is where we see all kinds of problems with Hill, dude. Like,
Yeah. He's got like the dean wrapped around his finger.
well, and
He's got the hots for Meg. In
all he cares about,
front of his
all he
dad.
cares about is the international success that he's getting.
Yeah.
He doesn't even care about anything else. Like the dean mentions like national fucking like
you-
accolades, and he's like,
Nah.
what about the internet? Like, what does the international
Well,
community
apparently
think of
the
me?
rest of Europe thinks
That's what
you're
I
an
was gonna say.
asshole. So
I was like, well, I mean, you had one guy show up to tell you that, and you didn't like what he
yeah,
had
you
to
didn't
say.
like what he had to say.
So maybe you don't
You
actually
kind of
care.
blacklisted him even.
Yeah, oh, definitely did. But yeah, we see the weirdness because she says, "Well, I got a date," and he's like, "What do you mean?"
Why don't you just study here where I can keep an eye on you?
Right, so creepy. And then she
And then,
says specifically, "Oh, but it's with Dan."
oh, are you
You
sure
mean
that's
Mr.
okay?
Kane?
Like looks at her dad's like, are you sure that's okay? Like,
Right, and like
should she be dating someone like him?
even the dean was just like,
Oh no, he's a nice guy.
Yeah, he was like, "What is this
I
conversation
like
right
Dean.
now?"
Or
He was
Dan.
like, "This
We
is."
keep calling him Dean.
Well, he is. He's the dean. I didn't catch his first name.
No, I kept calling Dan Dean
Oh, I
because
was
of the Dean.
no,
So
I
now
was
everyone
specifically.
is Dean.
I was still talking about the dean. So you were calling Dan Dean. I was specifically still talking about the character of the
I
dean.
confused
Yeah.
myself.
Because again, both of them are in this dinner scene. I was saying the dean was defending Dan.
Dan.
That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Not Dean defends Dean.
Yeah.
And
But yeah,
then Dean Kane showed up
yeah,
and
the
turned to
dean
Superman.
the dean definitely was he was very unsure of why Dr. Hill was even saying
Yeah,
this.
he looked
That's
real
what I was
confused.
saying. So again, it had nothing to do with Dan.
And then the weird toast that Hill
Yeah,
gives
well,
him
everything is
chips just like,
awkward.
to my colleague's beautiful, smart, sexy, hot daughter, or whatever the fuck.
Yeah,
It's like, dude,
all
calm
of
the
it's
fuck
weird, dude.
down.
All of it's weird, and nobody says anything to him about it. But so yeah, Dan and her walk off, and again, once they walk off together, he doubles down on the look to the dean, like, "Are you sure?"
Yeah. You sure about
Him?
that? She should be dating someone, oh, I don't know, like me.
Well, he didn't go that far, but he definitely does kind of knock like Dan as a doctor, right? Because it was kind of like that guy.
Yeah, he even mentions that like West is living with me. Like, oh, he let that West live with him.
Yeah, I think that was more of a he was hoping she knew something, but then she immediately shut that down because she was like, "I fucking hate him. I don't know
Yeah,
anything
fuck
about that guy."
The
Right?
cat is afraid of him.
Yeah, and that's all he got.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like more of the whole situation with the doctor afterwards was just like him trying to be like, I don't think he's a great medical student either, right? Like trying to talk down, which again, we kind of get the implications of, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't like dead bodies.
No, and he tries way
He's
too
squeamish
hard.
a little bit. Not the best thing for a doctor to be squeamish.
And you gotta relax a little bit. You can't be like, there's a point where you gotta stop.
And so we then leave dinner just in time to see them make it to Dan's house.
He's trying to be all sexy, right? And Meg's not fucking having
Well,
it.
she's just like, where's Rufus?
Yeah, where's the cat?
He's as soon as I get here, like I
He's
said
your
earlier, as
dad.
soon as I get here, he loves us, and if I'm here, he'd be here.
And it's because of that West that moved in. He's always in his room. Have you ever seen him eat? I thought that was weird. He's like, he stays to himself and shit.
Well, that's when we get told the basement, right? And that there's a lab down there. And again, like that's what I was like, what the fuck is going on here? Like he moved in immediately and they had a lab.
Yeah,
with him?
just all kinds of it.
But so she starts wandering through the house,
Looking for the cat.
Rufus, where you at?
Come here, kitty.
She like head in all these different rooms, and then you see like coming from the door is cracked, which already he gets mad about.
It's
This
his
is
own
on
damn
his
fault.
fault.
The door wasn't even shut, and you
From
didn't even
the-
have the fridge shut.
I was about to say from the crack you could see dark room glowing green. You already knew what?
Yeah.
And so she goes in there. Rufus, are you in here?
Oh my god!
Dead cat in fridge.
And then West is immediately behind her. It is a creepy shot because as soon as it shows the cat, cuts back to her, and he's over her shoulder. What are you doing in my room?
And then she screams again.
Dan
comes
in.
running. I want to say right now.
How do you not immediately see the cat?
Well, not even that, dude. How did she not immediately say that?
Yeah, it takes her a minute.
They stumble around a brief conversation before she finally says, "The fridge,
The fridge.
my cat."
I love fucking West's fucking response when he's just like, what happened and stuff? Why didn't you say anything? He's just like, well, I was pushing bodies around. What'd you want a note? What was I going to say? Cat dead, details later.
I know you were fond of it.
I didn't want to stink up the place.
He gets so cold about the cat too. He constantly refers to it as it. Like she even like he says, I mean, it must have suffocated. And she goes, he, and he still doubles down to the it. He's like, it it must have died in the jar,
Yeah.
right? It got its head stuck in a jar.
I put it in the fridge so it wouldn't stink.
I just cracked up because I was like, God damn, dude, like at least when she said he should have started saying he. He should have like had that knowing glance of,
no, fuck you,
he.
bitch.
No, he just kept saying it.
Does it hurt? Does it hurt when I say it? When I devalue your cat that you made your boyfriend buy?
Yeah, it was definitely a very horrific moment. The next part gets even worse to the point that I don't understand a few things, right? So we see downstairs cat, Herbert's working on it, doing something. We hear like crazy sound, wakes up Dan, and he goes down there, right?
Yeah.
We'll
He
deal
falls
with
down there because the door's locked.
We'll deal with everything that happens down there in just a second. I just want to establish so Dan should be there by himself, right?
Yeah.
No one stayed over.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know where I'm going with
Yeah.
this, right? Because she shows up
like 5 minutes after.
and she shouldn't be there.
She shouldn't be there.
Because he was asleep. And her daddy doesn't know she sleeps with him. So she wasn't sleeping at his house. She was only going for dinner. She was only having a study date. We saw her leave leave her own house and tell her dad what was going on.
Under that logic, we have to assume that Dan and Herbert just sat there staring at a dead cat for like 4.5 hours until
she showed up in the morning. That's exactly my point, because one of two things had to happen.
Right? She spent the night or they waited.
And we know she didn't spend the night because the movie has already dictated the rules of the fact that she wouldn't have done that.
So yeah, they just sat there just dumbfounded. Dan dumbfounded and Herbert just kind of bored. Like, are you done processing this shit?
I just wanted to make sure that we were both on the same. Yeah, we'll go over everything.
I thought it was weird too.
We'll go over everything that happened down there now, but I just want to, so that way we can end it on what we have come to this conclusion of. Yeah, this is to prove to you guys we don't speak to each other. I wanted to make sure we were on the same page about that before we got into this. Okay.
I had the same exact fucking
good
thought.
So we see the cat meows, or not. I don't even know if it's a cat. I don't even know what it was.
Screeches.
This sound. We hear a sound, and
you know,
Dan
the cat
goes to
is the sound a cat would make if you like smashed its tail in a door or something.
And so Dan goes into the basement. I love everything about this. So he gets into the basement, and as soon as he first walks down there, and Herbert realizes he's there, he tells him to get out.
He does. He's like, Kane, get out of here.
And then two
seconds later, get it off me.
And I was just like, make up your mind, Herbert. What do you want?
And then they team up with like the cricket bat and the little.
Well, he had a baseball bat.
Yeah.
And one guy had a bat because he grabbed it upstairs. He was going through the whole apartment with it.
What's the fucking
cricket? No, the other guy had croquet
mallet and shit. And they're like going around like, there it is. It's under the stairs. Get it.
Yo, that croquet mallet would have fucked some shit up. And dude, did you see it when he hit some of the set pieces with it?
It fucked up, dude.
Shit up. Croquet mallets or something.
The cat comes. I love the fucking first person view of the cat coming. You can clearly tell it's like a hand puppet going and toward the camera,
and it gets fucked up.
And he just yeets it across the room up against the wall.
Literally, pieces of. Did you notice? Like hits the wall, pieces of brain fly.
Dude.
This cat is beyond dead this time, right? Like whatever may happen,
that's dead.
That's exactly the conversation we get, right? Like we get the Dan talking to Herbert and being like, "Well, obviously it just wasn't dead the first time.
You lowered its
body temperature in that fridge. It was still holding on something." And he goes, "This was so
dead now.
brutal. This was so
you can agree,
brutal.
right?"
He
picks it up,
like half flops it. He's like, "We can agree."
It's dead, right?
And I was like, brains on the floor over there. Yes, I think we can agree. It's dead.
I was like, you're the one who chucked it across the room.
Right?
You
like,
know it's dead, right?
We don't got to play around anymore.
Goes and gets his serum, the reagent, shoots it into the cat's brain, and he's just like, don't expect it to tap dance. It's got a broken back.
I fucking love that line. Broken back my ass. Did you see
that thing was cut in half.
It was literally like two parts of a cat held together by the spine.
Yeah, that was it.
I want to be like, the back is like the only thing not broken in that cat right now. Like, get over it, Wes. What are you talking about? Then it comes back
screeching.
And he even he tells us right now, oh yeah, that's the screech of life. They all seem to do it when they come back. Yeah, I was like, all right, dude.
Oh, goddamn.
I mainly want to bring that up because until the end of the movie after this, I think only one thing we see get brought back screams. They make it such a point in the beginning to the fact that they even talk about it. And then it doesn't happen again, I think, until the end when she comes back.
Right.
We don't want to give too much away. But yeah, until the end.
The best ending of any movie ever.
But yeah, so the cat is now dead again. Nobody's going to bring it back a third time.
No. Why?
I hope.
Fuck. What,
I hope.
mean, the small piece later, like dead cat tissue
Dude,
on
look,
the microscope.
all I'm saying is Herbert is weird about his science.
Yeah.
But so in the middle of all this, the cat being back the second time, though, like we had already said,
Meg
who shows up?
up?
So as I already said, it makes so little sense because she wouldn't have stayed the night.
No, because she was making a point of having to leave.
Yes. Well, she already told her dad it was just a study day.
Yeah,
they were just
back
studying
in a couple hours.
That's what was told. And we know she wouldn't have stayed there because Daddy doesn't want them to sleep together, maybe, or something. It's very weird.
Can't see each other naked. That's just
well. Plus, she was
unholy.
Again, like they were supposedly still down there from when he stumbled through in the middle of the night, right?
Yeah.
She was fully dressed, like she was in like daytime clothes.
So the only logical explanation is they just sat there for hours staring at a dead cat while Dan processed what the fuck just happened.
Before Herbert finally said,
"Here,
one more time.
Read my notes and I'll show you what the fuck
I'll do
happened."
it again." You don't believe me?
This time it won't be able to jump on us though, so that's nice.
That's exactly what I said. I said, at least this time they know they're safe. It's not gonna get them this time.
Hey, West has those fucking cat scratch marks
Dude,
through the rest of the movie.
Well, and
nice continuity. I liked that.
I'm sure if we could have seen Dan's back, he probably had the same.
Yeah, probably.
We just didn't get to see his back anymore.
Next is when he tries to go tell the dean, right?
Yes. He tells the dean the truth, yeah.
He's like, he's done it. He's reanimated dead bodies.
Exactly. He tells him the truth, but not in like I think he's, again, like you think he'd be like, this guy's nuts still. We need to get rid of him. This is a danger and a problem. He was like excited. He was excited.
He's almost asking for a grant.
Dan is he's in too deep now, right? Like Dan has officially been hooked.
He likes the idea of defeating death.
Well, because he's afraid of it.
We've
already talked about it, yeah. And so again, as much as we made fun of that, it kind of actually helped the character
setup. It really did.
It just felt weird in the beginning, is all. But yeah, so Dan tells the dean everything. He comes clean to all of it, and the dean just is like, "Well, look, I'm going to give you a slide.
You write an apology and all this stuff. You're going to lose your student loans, but you're not."
No, he said you might. He was holding that over his head. Yeah. He was like, I need you to do these things for me, or you'll lose your student loans.
As for West, you can go ahead and tell him he's kicked out and he won't continue. Yeah, well, he can continue his experiments without the luxury of an education.
He said, you can tell him he's free to continue his studies, just not with the backing of this institution. Yeah, I love it, dude. That was so fucking good.
I think he was overreacting slightly. I don't. I think you should have at least gave Dan the benefit of the doubt. He only really got mad because Meg saw it.
Yeah, well, and that's exactly. That was where I say the dean literally was just like, "What the fuck did you bring my daughter into?"
I didn't. She just kind of walked up.
Exactly.
She walked in on an experiment.
Look, I didn't even want to be down there.
Right? Like the guy was doing this shit in my basement.
He was just trying to prove a point to me that I didn't even need.
All I know is I was asleep. But I heard noises. I got attacked by demon zombie cat, and now I'm here.
Right? Like, I'm just trying to be honest.
I figured I should tell you what's happening. Don't take it the fuck out on me.
But so, like I said, though, at this point, somehow Dan has been hooked. And so Dan immediately leaves, tells Herbert, and they come up with a concocted crazy idea to break into the morgue.
Because we need bodies, right? We got to continue. We got to prove that this works so we can stay in school.
I don't even understand
Dan's motivation.
I don't understand what motivated
Dan. Got to stay
in
medical school. So
Dan was still in medical school. Dan had no reason. Dan should have just been like, "I'm cutting my losses. Hey, buddy, move out.
Yep, get the fuck out of here. Be lucky I don't call the law."
Right, like that, but no. Dan said, "All right, dude, I'm gonna help
Let's
you.
Go.
Let's break into the morgue.
Ride or die, bitch."
Hope, and again, think about this. We don't find out until a couple of minutes into their whole little scheme here that it only worked by fluke, right?
Yeah,
because Dan gets inside because everybody thinks he's still allowed to be there, But then when the dean shows up, the dean specifically says, I told that doctor to tell people, oh, well, he got called into an emergency
Surgery.
procedure.
He's been there for like 4 hours.
Literally, all of this only worked because of the emergency surgery that they couldn't have known that doctor was in. For all they knew, they were going to walk up to the door and immediately be told, you're not supposed to be here.
Get the fuck out of here.
It just is so funny to me that all of this is predicated
West shot
on
a guy before they got there. He's just like
he made sure
from the window of the car. He's just like, slow down, bang,
deleted scene.
Yeah.
Because again, like if not, it is totally a chance, right? Like if they didn't kill someone to make sure he'd have to be in a surgery, they had no idea they'd successfully make it into the building.
They would have been stopped right at the gate. The guard guy, who's just been like,
our horrible guard
who just disappears for hours on end.
Yeah, so that is what we see. He tries to stop them, but he's like, "Oh, it's just you again, Dan.
How you doing, buddy?
In.
You got my lunch under there?
Right?
Not unless you want a squashed meatball."
Now
or
this is one of those scenes we got to talk about because we see
I like this
barefoot.
Yeah,
right.
The
Jeffrey
body
Combs
is barefoot.
going in. Herbert West, he got his feet completely barefoot, as it should be going into a morgue.
Yeah,
right.
Makes
we've
sense.
already taken their clothes off. We've already done whatever we need to by the time they're in the morgue.
Yep.
That wasn't how it was going to be.
The director apparently wanted him to wear his shoes.
Because he had a reason.
I get it. It's quicker.
He thought it was going to take too long, right?
Yeah,
like, think about how long it takes most people to tie a pair of socks and shoes on.
Gotta put your socks and shoes on. It'll drag the scene down.
And so almost in like a challenge mode.
Hold my beer. Hold my
beer. Jeffrey Combs said, I can do it. I can do it so fast it won't be a hindrance to the scene.
Yep.
And so what you see in the movie is the take where he said, give me a shot. Let me prove it. He proved it, and it was indeed. It is one of those things where it's easy to not notice, but if you notice it on your own,
he puts those things on so fast.
It's like, Jesus, he must be in the Olympics for this, right? Like, it's so crazy. It's so fluid.
Yep, just puts them on there. And
not a single mistake. You're like, he trained and trained and trained to do that fluidly.
That's what I thought. You told me that, and I was like, oh, I had a complete opposite reaction to this scene. I took it as this was like the worst day on set for Jeffrey Combs. Like the director was like, no, you still took too long. Put your shoes on faster. I need you to get them on. And he had to do like 50 takes. No, apparently it was him being like, no, fuck you.
It was
I
him
can do
saying,
it.
bitch, I got this.
Legend, right?
He definitely pulled it off too.
Epic class.
So then they're in the morgue. They're looking. They're trying to find the right body, right?
Fresh one.
Well, not just fresh though,
but like
lots of bodies
intact.
Yeah,
right?
Lots of bodies in there were fresh.
There's the one that's just like shotgun wound to the head.
I was gonna say I don't even think they picked the freshest one. They picked the freshest one that was the most intact.
It definitely wasn't that one guy. They're like, oh fuck, he's rotten. Oh.
Yeah, but so they find one, suspected heart failure. We don't even actually know because it was just a dude. He was young, in shape, dropped dead. In shape.
This guy was an absolute fucking unit.
I actually know a fact about that.
Oh, really?
He is Arnold Schwarzenegger's body double for a bunch of movies in the 80s.
That tracks, because this guy is massive when I'm watching it.
Well, and doesn't it also make all the grunts
really
funnier
does.
to you? He's just doing his Arnold impression.
He is. Wow. That's fucking hilarious.
Yeah, no, certainly, dude, like the backside of him, I feel like 100% he might have been the guy in T2.
Might have been the butt double.
The T2,
yeah,
right?
He's totally
got that.
His butt double.
I mean, until I know otherwise, I believe it. But yeah, that
why would you pick this guy? I would have picked the skinny little dude that they walked past. You know,
Well, again, right now they didn't know the monstrosity part. The cat had gone crazy, but Dr. Gruber's eyes just exploded.
That's fair, but on the air of caution, I wouldn't have took the 6'4", 270-pound guy.
Herbert's not the air on the side of caution
kind
of guy. Plus, Herbert was convinced. Remember, like all of this is hubris, right?
Yeah.
Herbert's convinced that he's right and that you can survive past the 12-minute mark. So he doesn't think that anything's going to happen here.
Oh yeah, he's so into it. Like when it doesn't work, seemingly on the first try, he's like, "I didn't fail. This asshole did.
15 cc's just wasn't enough.
I'm gonna up it to 20."
Well, no, he ups it 20 more.
Oh yeah, makes
sense. It wasn't. He didn't add 5 after 15.
He said fill 15, the syringe up all the way.
He said 15 didn't work. Let's make it 35.
I feel like that might be too much.
He more than doubled it. Well, especially for what we see at the end, right? Like his realization at the end to be able to kill people with an overdose because of what happened to the doctor
no.
in the beginning.
No, it's not just an overdose. It's an overdose.
But so if that's true, shouldn't we have seen this guy overdose? 'Cause he, again, like he said 15.
He should have fucking grown an extra fucking head or something.
Yeah, so that unfortunately is not what we got though. It would have been cool.
It would have been.
It's a different type of movie. But so he comes back. It takes a minute. They really thought it wasn't going to happen.
Yeah,
they thought it wasn't going to happen.
Give him 2 shots, like we said.
And then when he comes back, though, again, this guy, like Bo said, is a unit. This dude is huge. And you see him the first time when he fully stands up. Because when he's laying on everybody's just a body on a table.
But once
you can't
he
really tell,
up,
like,
you're
the
like,
full
oh shit, you're huge.
You can't tell the full stature on that table. That dude stands up and you see, like, the muscles
right.
and the
It's
shoulders.
John Cena.
Yes, dude. It's, man, I'd have been scared, too.
Right.
Herbert is not scared. Did you notice that?
He wasn't.
That man is so confident about
He's
all this.
just like,
he
"It
tries giving
worked."
him commands,
Right?
and then he
listened to me. Did
I
you
know.
see that?
He said that, and I was like, I don't think he did, dude. I think you're
I think he
full
just
of it.
heard you.
Yeah.
I don't think he listened.
Listening implies that there's like some kind of comprehension and agreement to do.
Yeah,
right?
you just screamed stop, and he was like, loud noise. What?
And looked at you. He didn't really stop.
New target acquired.
But then all of a sudden, the dean, like we had said, he had shown up during all of this. Told
Meg
the
followed
doctor,
him.
told the doctor, no, fuck that. That's not what's supposed to go on. I'm gonna go down there myself. I'll handle this.
Daddy, don't blame him.
It's okay.
It's not his fault.
But so the dean,
Cartoon changes real quick.
The dean gets down there. He's banging on this giant metal door, trying to get them to come out.
It might have been a bad idea. Dude, it drew the monster's attention.
He banged on that door, and that head fucking shot so quick to flick over towards it.
And he just spears through this door and then jumps on it to smash the guy.
He was dead when it fell on him.
Right.
The jump afterwards was just extra icing on the cake, right? Can we agree there?
Yeah,
like,
and then he just continues. He's just beating a dead horse after that.
But then he comes back like he's not dead. Were you surprised by
Right?
that? He picks him up and then he takes him into the room and he bites his fingers
off.
stuff.
And it's like, how are you not dead? You were dead a second ago.
Yeah, you were under
There was a lot of blood coming out of your mouth.
Door that got stomped onto you. You're done.
He doesn't actually die until he gets yeeted across the fucking room
into the wall, and I was like,
more brain. Did you see more
I know,
brain?
but other than the brain, when I watched that scene, all I thought was every other thing we saw happen to him was way more likely to kill him than that.
Yeah, that was actually a pretty safe bump compared to everything else he took.
Oh yes, but so then after he gets thrown into the wall, both Herbert and Dan are like, what are we going to do? Dude's still coming after us. It's crazy. Well, we got to do something. Herbert says, like a true Frankenstein moment, right? Like he's like, I must take, this is my creation.
He's so calm about it, too.
It's my creation. I should handle it. I'll handle it.
Look out. And then goes and just knifes him in the back with his saw.
I must put an end to this thing.
This is such a good effect, it going out through his chest and stuff.
Man.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
But then he looks over at Dan and he says,
help me.
We can do this.
We can bring Dr. Halsey back to life. He just died. We couldn't get a fresher body without killing somebody ourselves.
I want to stop you. I want to say we can only refer to him as Dean. Nobody ever told me if that man had a doctorate. You can be in charge of a college.
I would have assumed.
You can be in charge of a college without having to be, even though it's a medical college, without having to be a doctor yourself. Because again, like your job is paperwork.
That's fair. It's mostly administrative.
Again, I don't think it's actually that important, but just because I never actually saw that man do anything medical. And the only thing we ever heard him talk about was grant money. I'm going to assume
he's just
a dude.
Yeah.
He's just Dean, not doctor.
I bought my way into this position.
Pretty much.
Politicked.
Yeah.
Dean.
Yeah, so the dean, while there, gets, they were like, we can bring him back.
Yeah,
right?
it's fine. We can
It's
bring
the
him back to
freshest
life.
body we've ever had.
Yeah.
This is so funny to me because I feel like Herbert at this moment got very confused because he thought Dan was like just like him and was all about the science, and that's why he agreed to help.
Yeah.
But I feel like Dan had that moment of consciousness finally and was like, fuck, I can't go to prison for
Right, that's
killing
what I
a man.
thought too. I was like, oh, he's like taking it as like, oh, good, this is my out. See, look, he's not dead.
Right? I think
I killed no one.
I think me, you, and Dan were all on the same page,
Yeah.
and Herbert didn't follow.
No, so we're trying to stay out of fucking prison.
Right?
He didn't give a shit.
Herbert
He
was just about
wanted
the
to-
science.
Yeah,
he
just
was
wanted
still
to-
like, this is an experiment. We can keep experimenting right now.
this is the best it's ever going to get without me killing somebody myself.
And so he then puts the stuff in him, less this time, compensating.
Compensating for the freshness of the body.
And by compensating, he means just not doubling up on a
not
dose
35
immediately,
cc's.
immediately without waiting to see what might happen. But he
I would
still,
have gone in like smaller increments, personally.
and I thought that's what we would see, right?
Yeah.
Like, because the dude didn't come back at first, but before he decides to give another injection, he just slams his hand out.
I'll show you, damn it, smack. And it like wakes the body up. 17 seconds. 17
Mark it
seconds.
down.
Mark it. And fucking Dan's just in the floor like, 17 seconds.
This is the point
Sure.
where we officially get to start to see something that we couldn't have known before. We saw the dude bloody at the mouth, the first one,
Yeah.
right? We didn't know how he died, so we could have just assumed it has something to do with that, right?
Yeah.
No, now is when we find out it doesn't matter who
It's just what
gets brought
happens.
back, they're bloody
It's
at
just
the mouth.
It's just a
they're gonna
byproduct
they're
of it.
gonna have blood instead of saliva in their mouth from this point on, right?
That's
It's
it.
a weird thing, but if you watch the movie and actually pay
Yeah, it
attention,
does.
everybody who gets reanimated,
Oh, even the cat.
everybody who gets reanimated is bleeding at the mouth.
out of the mouth, yeah.
It's a very
Just an
weird
unfortunate side effect. Just put a tampon in your lower lip.
Yeah.
It'll be
Because
fine.
again, we can the dean got messed up. We can definitely agree to that.
Yeah, but I don't think he should be
I don't think
spitting
something
blood
something
like
that would have done that. Like again, the first guy we had no idea how he ended up there technically. So like we can't judge if it was massive heart failure. Maybe blood was
Yeah.
in the system. I don't know. This guy we know shouldn't have blood in his mouth.
But it's immediate as
Im-
soon as
oh,
he wakes up.
immediate.
And it's like, I feel... I wanted to look, but I forgot to. But I feel like it was strawberry jam.
It was very red as opposed to a lot of darker blood. you
Right?
see
And I
in
was
some
like, if
80s
that is
movies.
strawberry jam, that's genius. Because
Yeah.
that would just be a tasty
So I don't feel like it was.
alternative.
I don't feel like it was like Caro syrup, like
Yeah.
because like when you use the red dyed Caro syrup is when you get that too dark blood.
Yeah, this looked like
this
jam.
this
It
was
really-
very red. Yeah,
just gave him a spoonful of it and went swish it around.
but so unfortunately though, once he comes back, who shows up
Meg.
again in the middle
Meg.
of this? Meg showing up again, just like at the
Perfectly worst time.
is just so fitting for her character though, right? Like it's just like I don't know if I would expect anything else from her.
No, but she shows up right when fucking her dead dad comes back and has both West and Dan in like a choke slam ready to fucking go for both of them. And then
Security guards are coming behind her
he's
because
coming
they
in
finally
like, what the
realize
hell's going on?
because they finally realize like, oh, this is where the problem area is. Because
He
where
came-
did they run off to the first
he
time?
said he was going to go get coffee, but man, that's a long coffee break.
It was weird. It was
Later,
weird.
when Dr. Hill
it's even-
goes
no,
to
that
sneaks
one's
in,
even
I know
crazier.
exactly
Yeah,
what
no,
that
I-
motherfucker was doing.
No, they tell us that time.
Dirty
This-
son
yeah,
of a bitch.
This is the time we don't know. For
that was what
sure.
he was doing this
Yeah.
time. Coffee break is his term for it.
But so while she's down there, this is another one of those moments of Megan waiting too long to mention stuff. You notice, like she's
Right.
like seeing all the stuff. She's not mentioning like all of the blood,
Blood and
all of the
shit.
craziness. Like the everybody else comes down, and she's just like, "My dad." But
He
so
was
they're all
just
like,
angry.
yeah, exactly. Like all of them are just like, "Oh, I mean, he's just in the corner."
the-
But she didn't say he was bleeding from the mouth. She
no.
didn't say he was talking incoherently. She didn't say the things that could have helped the situation.
And fucking West is just like, oh, well, he came in and he went nuts. And you see that thing there? He took that and just went crazy. And they just buy it.
Right? Well, and
Cops
again,
buy it. Guard buys it. Everything.
it's so crazy because it's like, so he just went crazy and like drilled a hole through that dead cadaver and then drug it to the middle of the floor. You know,
for
like-
no
like,
reason.
You really got to
Don't look at it too closely. My
Right.
fingerprints aren't on it at all.
It's crazy that they bought it, but it's even crazier if you stop to think about what the actual story was.
The only thing I could think of why, not even the cops, but like the security guard
Yeah.
guy buying it was like after they say this whole thing, Meg just pops in with like, no, he he was just mad at you.
Yeah.
He wouldn't do that and stuff.
And
I was
maybe
like,
if
that makes it plausible,
maybe if
I
she
guess.
wouldn't have said that, they might have kept looking. But they were like,
Yeah.
"Oh, Meg said that's true."
He came in here pissed off, so I guess that's exactly what happened.
I guess that's got to be what it is. Now is when we get the next bit of fucking Dr. Hill and super creepy.
Oh my god.
Right? Because so now her dad is essentially mentally unstable, right?
He's in
He's
a
locked
jacket in
in
a padded room.
In Hill's office? What was that?
What the fuck?
Right?
He's got like a
do you
window
agree that
from
that's what
his
that
office
was?
to the
It was
padded
his
room.
office
Yeah,
in a
you gotta
padded
go
room.
through his
Okay.
office to get to the padded room.
I'm glad that we're in agreement there.
That's weird.
But so her dad is in there and he starts talking to her and he's like, "Look, I know you got nobody now."
But you could lean on me and rely on me. I'll be there.
I was half waiting for him to be like, "I can be your daddy."
That's what I was waiting
Right?
for too. Is like,
Literal
I'm
line.
your daddy now.
Which is essentially what he said when he was with the "you've got nobody."
Yeah.
Well, even when he said that, I wanted to be like, "Bitch, she got Dan.
Yeah.
You were there. You met Dan at the house when he came."
And you're like 70. She can do way better than that.
But this is also the first time we get an inkling of the hidden powers.
Yeah, the
of
hidden
Dr. Hill.
mystery mind powers of Hill.
This time, not quite as obvious as the next
No, I
time.
missed it until you said it.
But yeah,
today.
so there's a split second moment when he's doing this talk to her
He's,
where
like,
he does start
staring
to,
at her real
and he does start
intense.
to say something when he first says like, "If you need someone to call on," and she stops. You can see it on
Yeah.
her face, like she's kind of like, and what saves the day?
It's her dad.
Because his brain's not gone, right? Like that's what we're
No.
supposed to be. Something
Dr.
did-
Halsey loves his daughter
Well-
so much, even the weird fucked up shit that has happened will not stop him from protecting her.
or Herbert's right.
Hmm?
The brain is
Is
still
still-
intact.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Although
His-
that being said,
his
we have
jaw's
to.
just broken and he can't
Well,
talk.
that being said, we have to address the fact that he did not cross the 12-minute barrier.
No, it
he
was
didn't
like-
even cross the 6-minute barrier.
No, it was
so
like
his
a
should
minute
be
and a half.
fine by everybody's standards.
He does talk. He tells the
Oh,
guard
no,
to
he talk-
arrest
yeah,
him,
yeah,
so
yeah.
kind
He's-
of conscious.
He's something there. But yeah, I feel like the fact that he jumped at the window at the exact moment.
Smashes his head into the window.
It was for a very specific reason. It's because he was saving us. Like he knew,
Yeah,
right?
that
Like
was-
he knew. Like
I have to interrupt this
this
conversation.
dude's well, maybe he even knew about the powers.
Oh, he probably does because he's been doing it to him for years, getting
and
the
now
grant
that
money
now
and
that he's
shit.
like this, he can
He realizes
grasp it. Yeah,
the real hero of the
'Cause that's-
fucking movie is
well,
Dean Halsey.
yeah, because that's very Lovecraftian, right? To say
Yeah, it
that
is.
to say that by dying he is now tapped into somehow being able to sense that.
shit. Halsey's the real hero,
Which
of
is
the
also
movie.
why Halsey has to be lobotomized.
Yep. And that still doesn't even
No.
fucking help.
It works a little bit. It works more so than he is right now.
It works
okay,
until the amount of danger has increased.
we gotta stop. We're getting too ahead of ourselves. But yeah, so yeah, there's a lot that's going on there for sure.
She signs a release form so
Halsey
Hill
can do this.
do an exploratory surgery, but then you
She
just
tells him, "I don't care what it is.
just
I
help
just-
him.
I want to talk to him again. Just let me
No, I
talk to
don't-
my daddy again."
Nope, that's not a good idea. Go away.
And so she
Just leave.
runs. She runs off after the bloody on the wall, and then he goes nuts inside the padded room. I can't believe this dude. I can't believe.
He hits his head
Well,
so hard on that
I can't
window,
believe
too.
Hill has people that go in there for him.
Dude, no, like, and one
Did
of
you-
them's,
two
one
of
of them's pretty big, but that other guy's like 5'2".
I was
dude. It's
like,
dude, you're
I-
tiny. Don't
you're
go
not
in
getting
there.
Paid enough for that. But yeah, so it was kind of crazy how hard he's hitting stuff. That dude had to get the actor had to get
Yeah.
told to tone it down because
I believe it.
the set was not super. It wasn't like a real building.
Yeah, it's like
it
a
wasn't
cardboard
solid.
set,
And
dude.
so
Like,
they were
you're gonna knock
"Dude,
the wall over.
Stop it, man. He did. He
I-
knocked. If you watch it, you can see a wobble. But in some of the stuff that had to get cut, he full on knocked walls down. And they had to tell him like, "Stop."
I appreciate the effort, but tone it the fuck down.
Yeah.
Dan is just like lurking in Meg's house when she comes home. She's just like, he's not even sitting. He's just standing in the hallway when she comes in and
Well,
turns the light on.
And now this is what I would say we can finally see that maybe this is one of Dan's downfalls, right? Is the fact that he always feels the need to come clean.
Yeah,
But he is still committed to all of this. He doesn't back out.
No,
yet.
he's just
still
like,
double. He is just like in it. He's in it fully.
I like an honest crook,
I
right?
can't- But like, because it's just like the first time, right? Like,
Yeah.
he fully helped and then went to the dean.
And
Now
was
he
like, hey,
fully was part of every step of this, and he's like, "I gotta tell you the truth."
yeah, your dad
this
is
was
actually
so-
dead.
I know. I love the way this conversation happens. He looks at her. He's like, "He's not crazy."
slap.
And then she's just like, what do you mean?
He's
dead.
dead. Slap.
I was like, this is so
She
insane.
hits him hard too, dude. Like, I mean, props to that actor.
Well,
He
because
took them shots.
because she knows it's true, because she's seen the cat, right? Like,
Yeah.
she knows that this. Anybody else would have heard that, and they'd have been like, "You're full of shit." She heard it, and she's like thinking about everything she's seen, and she's like, "Fuck, Dad's
yeah,
dead."
And then she has the breakdown,
Right?
And shit.
Well, rightfully so. After this is done, though, we see
Hill
the
goes,
showing up of Hill
Yeah, he goes and confronts West in his lab
in the basement,
and then hypnotizes him. This confused.
This is when the full power comes on, right?
I'm like, I missed it when I was a kid because we're all just smoking weed and watching this movie, being like, oh, look at the boobs and gore. But like doing this, I'm like, dude, this is a super weird scene.
Hill is very much like Dracula and Renfield, right
he's
here, right?
totally
Like,
mind controlling him.
You see literally that West like cowers down, like a foot. Like
Yeah,
the
he
actor
just,
is literally like shrinks
dude, like,
down,
just, like hunkers down,
answers every question,
gives him his notebook,
hands him the slides,
shows him how the
this is my
reagent
reagent.
works.
Yeah, like watch, this is cat brain cells.
Yeah,
dead.
watch, it works.
Boom, boom.
And fucking weird as fuck. We like,
But then he finally snaps out of it.
it fucking smashes his head with a shell. I love it. Hill is like, yes, Mr. West, I will be famous. Smack.
It wasn't even smashed his head, because he then goes back with the shovel and
decapitates
severs it,
like
dude.
4 times. It's not one nice clean one. It's a
Well, I'm pretty sure in real life with a
blood.
shovel you would probably.
Oh, dude,
need
it's
more.
it's one of those dull,
Yeah.
flat bladed fucking shovels.
Well, and they're on concrete, so even if it had been a pointed one, you would have needed multiple to get the angles right? Like, I mean,
this is the best kill in the whole fucking movie. Is smashes his head off.
Most deserving too, but unfortunately, Herbert can't let his goddamn experiment side
Can't
go.
help it.
Right?
Can't help it. He's sitting there. He's
So
just
he
like,
immediately he's like, I've never done this on a whole part.
Never done whole parts, and just sticks it, and then goes and sticks.
He
the
would have been
decapitated
fine.
body.
He would have been fine. He would have been fine if he would have just stuck with the whole parts. If he would have stuck with
Yep.
the whole parts.
If he hadn't have done the fucking rest of the body, it'd have been totally
If he'd
fucking
just
fine.
done the head, but he didn't.
No.
So he does the head first, then the
It
body.
would-
Then he walks back because the head starts talking, and the head is having real words,
Yeah,
real
the-
words with
the-
him.
The
Right?
head is like, you bastard.
He calls him Vest. Did you notice that?
Vest.
I was like, oh, all of a sudden now everybody is Swiss/German/Austrian.
Yes.
Everybody.
That's what happens when you die. You're
Oh, reanimated.
all reanimated corpses
are
either zombie or vampire
Okay.
are fucking from that side of the world.
That sounds good. I like it.
I
I'm
like
down.
it too. Cool. That means when I die and you bring me back, I'll be fucking Transylvanian.
But so
shall have the accent.
While West is very into seeing this talking,
He's like writing it down.
Yeah, he's very
and
into
shit.
it.
He's like, oh, look, he's talking.
the body sneaks up behind him.
Head smashes him. Did you watch it? He
Yes.
kind of throws himself because
Yes.
the poor guy can't see what he's doing. Gimmicked himself. I
But
appreciate
so
it.
he gets knocked out, comes to, and when he comes to, what happens?
All of his shit is gone. His
His notes,
the reagent, except the stuff that's upstairs.
which I think is funny because the guy
I
has
feel
to
like
go
that line
through
was-
the upstairs.
I feel like that was thrown in as extra to explain
'cause it
why he still has
still
some
had
later.
yeah, that has to be it, dude. It was an afterthought.
Because he's like, no, my work, they took it all. Oh, but except the stuff that's upstairs. Wasn't a good line.
This is also when they find out that, well, Dan does, right?
Yeah,
Just
and
Dan
Meg
finds out.
they break into Hill's
Hill's
office
because
and
they're
find
trying
him
to
lobotomized. And
yeah,
shit.
well, because they're trying to figure out more of what he's
Hill-
doing
yeah.
science wise. Like they have the most wholesome of reasons to be doing this. When they get in there,
Fucked
they
up.
find out that he is on top of doing these crazy science experiments, maybe beyond the scope
yeah,
of what the
definitely.
hospital knew, right?
Definitely.
He also has a weird creepy
Weird-ass
stalker
fucking
file.
Has her fucking hair in it.
Napkins?
Oh, I didn't see the napkins.
Oh, it gets mentioned.
What is he
even.
gonna fucking like clone her or something?
When Dan has to tell Herbert about it, he says the napkins
Oh,
line.
shit, I
he
missed the
says
napkin
he
line.
had napkins in there.
But I saw him pick up the hair out
Yeah.
of the file and shit.
So we see that he is it's way beyond anything like the movie is already set up for us that he has a bizarre obsession with her, but now it's like
A culty
it's
obsession?
obscenely bad. This
Yeah.
obsession he's got with her.
He's like keeping her old underwear and shit.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
fucked up, dude.
It's I don't know. It's too bad.
It is. It's awful.
But now it's basically now we get to it's time for everything to get to a head, right? So we got to deal with first Hill and his new
Headless
zombified
zombie
state,
fucking
right? And
henchman.
what his plans are. So his plans are first he has to regroup in his office. Thank God they left.
Yeah, because he's like
they could have easily
they
just
could have
like
walked
ran
past
into
each
each other,
other.
right? But so he goes to his office. He's coming up with a plan, and he sees the weird medical doll head
thing, puts it on top of his headless body so they can break into the morgue. But after he releases Dr. Halsey to go kidnap Meg,
that's all happening at the same. It doesn't
super
matter.
Fucking creepy though, because the body's like holding the
to the
severed
window
head
the
to
first
the
time.
window
Yeah.
and shit.
I just meant that we saw the head. I wasn't even necessarily saying
Yeah.
that he put it on to him yet. That was the first moment where we get it was like the foreshadowing to the
Yeah.
fact that he was going to put it on.
It's over in the corner, like
they pan across it on the way to the window. Yeah. So he lets Dean Halsey go to go do his bidding and catch his own daughter, which is nuts,
is
right?
super nuts.
But and we see he's got the
lobotomy
scar in his
already.
head.
He was the first one, because we said it earlier.
Yeah.
The mixture of like the occult, the
Yes.
lobotomy, and the reagent, he can control them.
Well, right now we don't even know that. I feel like right now he did the lobotomy to the dean was just so
To
that
calm
way.
him the fuck
Well, it
down.
was to keep the dean from fucking him out.
Oh, yeah, just to screw him over so he can protect his
Yeah, because so
discovery and shit.
he felt like the dean did have enough mind left, right? And so he was like, "Man, he stopped me. I can't let him."
because West and Dan say something about
Yeah,
that later.
And
They're
so
like,
that's exactly.
he's clever.
I feel like Hill figured it out, and Hill was like, "I'm gonna lobotomize him,
Yep, so
that way
can't-
he's less likely to stop." Yeah, because again, it happened right at. That's why the guards grabbed him, right? Like, I mean, it's why that whole scene happened. He probably lobotomized him seconds after we cut away.
Total.
Yeah.
Like, Aaron, get him on the ground. I'm just gonna take this railroad spike and.
No, it was with the laser. Come on, the man made a laser.
He didn't have it in his office. He had to be quick. It just took
Prototype.
Prototype. Yeah, there you
go.
Hand cranked version, right?
But so while this is going on, Zombie Daddy comes rushing into the house.
Oh, and interrupts the like
coitus.
It's not even that. They're having like the romantic, like I should hate you, but I love you, man. They're about to kiss, and he busts through the door, and I'm
Whatever.
like, oh, thank God,
He
it
stopped
interrupted
some
all
sex.
this bullshit.
He stopped some sex.
Yeah.
You say what you want. I'm telling you right now. This is the 80s. He stopped sex. Sex is what leads you to get killed in an 80s horror
It's like
movie.
I'm watching the scene, just being like, fuck, I hate this kind of shit. And then Zombie Man, I was like, oh yay, I've never been so glad to see a monster. Because it's almost like the director told them to act badly in this scene, right?
Yeah.
It's like the most cheesy soap opera fucking acting for the quote unquote romantic scene. But she gets kidnapped. Dan gets knocked the fuck out. More brain, did you notice?
Yeah.
He gets brain mattered onto the wall. How's he still alive?
I thought
And
that
he's
for a minute.
And he's been a corpse this whole time.
I did, dude. I
That's
thought
a
that for a minute.
possibility because that's a lot of blood on the wall when he gets
Well,
thrown.
not only did I think that because of the blood, but it's also because he does the weird head check thing as soon as he picks him up.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, like Wes is like,
yeah, you'll be fine. I
For-
injected you in the correct spot.
I was gonna say for a split second, that's what it seemed like. It seemed like he was like, "Oh, good, nothing hurt."
yeah,
Where
you're fine.
I put the reagent in at, right? Like Dan was the first successful test subject. I agree. That's how it kind of felt.
Maybe because he wasn't actually dead, right? You
Mm.
think like he's on the cusp,
Mm,
and that's why it worked.
maybe
This is all like fan theory, but it works, right? That's how I accept. That's what I think. I think West stabbed him, gave him the stab.
After he came to, and they're like, "No, we have to go. We got to make sure she's okay." That's the moment where he finally gets to tell Herbert what's been going on.
Yeah.
Because Herbert's like, "Why?
does she
What
matter?"
What's it? What are you talking about?" And he's like, "No, but you don't understand
She-
Hill." And he's like, "No, I understand Hill.
Yeah.
He's the one. He's gone nuts.
I
He's
killed
rogue.
him
I get
already."
it. Something's going on with him." No, you don't get it. If you're telling me he came back, he's crazy, and
And
he's
he's
got a
gonna-
file on her with hair and napkins, and
Yeah. all this other weird fucking shit. And I love fucking West's response. He's just like, of course he does, and just starts fucking laughing about it. It's like, that's always some chick, isn't it? He throws it at him later when they show up.
But yeah, now is when we officially get to see Hill wearing the head. Like I said earlier, I wasn't even trying to get at that he was wearing it. I'm glad that you knew.
Yeah.
you were like heard mannequin head and knew where I was going to be going with it.
Because it's so funny.
It is. But yeah, so now is when we see that when he decided he needed to get to the morgue because he wants to
Needs to sneak past lazy guard again.
and so he was like, well, I can't do this
Headless.
no head. And so he shows up and he's wearing the fake it's
the fake like
dummy
anatomy
head,
with
yeah,
like
that
the
can pull
bits of the
apart.
skull, and you can
It's
like take
so-
pieces off.
Again, we saw it in passing earlier. It was
Yeah.
like in the corner, and it's so insane that that's what he's wearing. This is crazy because if you can put that on your shoulders,
Why didn't you just put the
your head,
Head
why
on
did,
there.
Why didn't you put your own head
kind of gauze
on
it
your
up to hide
shoulders?
the blood?
Right? Like you would
wrap
see
it
in
an
every
ace
other
bandage.
movie,
Yeah,
right?
It's
Well, what is it? Idle hands. Shove the broomstick
shove
up
the
one side,
shit
down
in,
the other
put it
side,
on her
and put
and
it back
duct
on.
tape it
We could have
so
made
we
this
can
work.
eat the fucking burrito.
We can make this work. I'm just saying. He didn't have to use the fake head. But beyond the weirdness of deciding to use the fake head, there's the fact that
He's in
movie
a fucking like
he's
bowling
he
ball
is-
bag.
he's in the bag, and when they get into the room past the security guy, he opens the bag and the man gasps.
Yeah, the head
Gasp
without lungs goes
for breath.
It's metal.
And it's like, what were you lacking
It's all
inside the
psychological.
bag?
It's all in his
Yeah,
fucking head.
But that's, to me, that's the moment where we unlock a really crazy villain, right? Because now he knows that's not a limitation.
You can just throw him in a bucket of water and it doesn't matter. He's just gonna keep going. But he has a plan. He starts pulling out the serum and his little fancy laser drill, and he's gonna
we see him
he's
just
setting to work.
We see him at random cadaver.
Yeah,
right?
they
Just
roll
like,
one out, and he's gonna start
zzz.
fucking doing his trick to zombify them all, right?
Yeah. And while he's working, fucking Daddy shows
Yeah,
up, right?
Daddy Halsey,
Yeah, shows up. He's got his daughter with him,
She's
carrying her inside,
unconscious.
sets her down on the
strips her, which is weird because that's
weird
her
enough.
dad.
Yes.
This is the weirdest, most fucked up scene, and I have
Well,
seen people tap out at
look,
this part.
Well, and this is that part where, as we said,
this is the part
this
that
is-
ruined a marriage.
yeah, and 100%. However, it actually happened.
However,
did.
it happened somehow.
So literally, she gets stripped naked, and you can see headless body fondling
Fondling
her
boobs,
boobs
just
and
rubbing the
just
shit
getting
out of
dirty
them.
with her, and his head like turns to almost kiss her face. Right? Did you notice though? He is also trying to do his mind trick on her again.
Yeah, he's
and I
trying to
think
do the
the
eye
bloody
thing.
dismembered head prevents it from working on a person who has
Probably.
real thoughts.
Can't really concentrate when you're a dismembered head.
Well, no, I
I'm
just
sure.
think that a person can't be swayed by you when they can
when they're
see
so
that.
freaked out by
Right,
the
yeah,
like, oh my god,
I think it's more that.
probably.
But yeah, so it does not seem to be working on her. And so then he has his body pick up
Just
his
pick him
severed
up.
head, and he slowly like brings him into her crotch. It is
And he is all like, my love.
it is the
It is
most
a
disturbing
horrific fucking
thing
scene
ever.
I have seen grown men tap out in this scene and be like, nope, I'm done with this movie.
And again, we just want to point out, probably ended a marriage.
ended
So
a
again,
marriage.
again, we're not saying by today's standards you're going to see it and think this is real, but we are saying the acting is done very well.
Yeah.
They did very
It is
well
a
with
fucked up
what they
scene.
had to make this with, and it's
And thank God fucking Herbert West shows up right in time to stop it before he actually
and
gets
he
his
starts
head up
making
in
fun
there.
of him too, right?
Like,
Like,
really? This is what you're doing?
You-
You,
he basic-
half-rate scientist
he
over here
basically was-
trysting with a bubble-headed bimbo.
Well, he basically was like, you have the power of a god, right?
Right,
Like
and
he
this
didn't
is
say
what
that,
you're
but he's
doing?
basically like, you can defy life itself, and this is what you're doing.
Yeah, and then he's just like, and how are you going to take credit for my work? Who's going to believe a talking head? Get a job in a sideshow and shit. He's
funny.
such a badass.
Well,
in
this is
scene.
funny. Jeffrey Combs hates that line. He loves the full line. He hates that every person who watches the movie laughs so much at the first part of it, they don't usually hear the get a job at a
The
sideshow.
Aw. That's the best part of it, though.
But yeah,
He's
everybody
delivered-
laughs at the
his-
no one's gonna take a talking head seriously.
But the sideshow line is delivered so fucking well. Just to get a job at a sideshow with
Yeah.
that weird. This is where I said the
I know.
accent kind of comes back a little bit. It's
But
only
I'm
when
telling
it's
you-
only when he feels like he's in charge.
Most people laugh so hard at the first line
they did
don't
it
hear
wrong,
the
and I'm
second,
upset with them.
and he doesn't enjoy it as much now.
I'm
'cause
I'm totally with him.
he enjoys the second part of the line better.
Me too.
Well,
I got you, man.
Well, it's the writer's fault because the talking heads line is too funny by itself. Like that should have been separated out,
Yeah.
right? Because every head is a talking head. You know, like he didn't
even like
specify severed talking
That's
head.
what you refer to like the people on like TV
Yes.
as like, oh, we've got our talking
Well,
heads.
it's literally a band name, the Talking Heads.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
And
forgot
so
about
again,
that.
like it's because they didn't do a good enough job. They should have said a severed talking head, right? Like, and then people would have been ready for the follow up of the sideshow. When you say talking head, people are just like, all heads are talking.
all heads talk, you idiot.
Yeah.
God damn it.
It's awful.
fuck
I
it,
know.
man.
I'm
I'm gonna sit here and cry for a minute.
This is when finally, while he's having his
he's distracting
his word battle
With Hill,
Dan
is
sneaks in.
rescuing Meg.
But it doesn't go fully as expected because Hill realizes and he sends his zombie horde. He's like, I've got plans of my own.
I love that shit because West is just like, oh well, like I have a plan, and Hill's just like, I have a plan of my own,
And we see just
and
like,
then they just all pop
and
up.
again, this is that moment. Watch their mouths.
all of them.
They are
Just
all bleeding from the
bleeding
mouth.
from the fucking mouth.
And some of them bleeding from other places.
Dude, you see the one guy had like tubes and shit, and he's just like pulling them out of his mouth and
Yes.
shit. Yeah, sick.
And so while this whole battle is going on,
Fucking
fucking
Meg and Dan are getting their
Daddy
asses
Halsey
beat.
starts to come towards Meg again with everybody else, and she starts trying to get him to break out again,
It's
right?
me, Dad, please.
And he does. He kind of looks around. He's
And
like,
he's like slapping the other
well,
zombies away from him.
It's beautiful to see the moment because he looks around, he kind of sees them, and then he sees the headless Hill and was like, "Oh yeah, what the fuck?"
It's
Like
his
that
fault.
that was the moment. The thing that got him was
Yeah.
like seeing Hill again. He was like, "Fuck
that
fuck
guy."
And so then he turns around, throws everybody off his daughter.
The
goes
head
after Hill.
smash. He just starts squeezing this fucking head.
This was so amazing.
Oh, it
'cause,
was
again,
so
he was so
fucking
mad.
good.
He like I said, he saves the daughter and then
Yeah.
goes straight for Hill's head.
Just squeezing it, his blood and his fingers in the eyes and stuff, and then he just pops it like a fucking cork.
But somehow that's still not supposed to be the end of Hill.
No, because you gotta chuck him out the door so they can smash on the wall and scare the security guard guy who came back from his jack off session to
Well-
find all this shit happening.
Well, and that's not no, that was the body fell out. I think when he saw the headless body.
Oh yeah,
fall
he goes
out. Yeah.
through the door.
But my point is that the squeeze didn't kill Hill because we still had to have Wes come back with your favorite line,
The overdose.
right?
You
If Hill was dead already,
scream it. You gotta scream overdose. Overdose.
so if Hill was dead already, would we need that?
No. So,
so
so
like
squeezing the head
Did not kill
had
him.
to do it.
Or maybe the body was still. I don't. You know what I mean? Like we're at a point in the movie where it kind of gets like it starts to fall apart
It goes
a little
nuts.
bit.
It goes.
'cause
It's
there's
just
so
an
much
escalation
action
of
going on.
badassery.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
as soon as we do the overdose bit, the body morphs into.
Well, this was
the
crazy,
thing,
right? Well, this was
right?
crazy because he literally, right before he yells the overdose, he says to Dan, "No, I've got a plan. Like this is what should work, right? This is how we stop it."
This is
And
his
again,
hold my beer moment,
This is the
right?
throwback to the beginning, right? This is supposed to be like, again, we heard he gave Gruber too large of a dose.
Yeah.
So we're supposed to be like, oh, he's going to make him blow up.
He's just gonna burst like a balloon.
And we don't get that.
No.
Like you said, we get a mutation
It
effect.
turns into the fucking
Intestine
thing.
monster.
Yeah, it shoots
Intestine
out
monster.
and grabs him, and it's a great reverse shot of it wrapping around fucking
Yes.
West and shit. It's so good. And just dragging him off into the mist.
It's like the brainstem creature is what I call it, right? Because it's,
yeah.
again, like, that's what the whole focus, but again, like, it is a body. I don't know anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I don't even know. Can't make sense of this.
He has enough wherewithal before he dies to grab his bag and throw it to Dan. My notes! Before he's drug off into nothing.
Exactly, though.
So he's dead, right? I mean, I know we have 2 sequels, but like, if you didn't know that, like, he's dead. There is no more Herbert West. The tentacle monster fucking killed him.
That's what I say.
That's what I took from it.
Now, part of the theory here is that in Bride,
so it should just be Dan, right?
Well,
there should be no West.
It is. The theory is in Bride, every time you see Herbert, it's a figment of Dan's imagination.
Oh, I might have to rewatch it and think of it that way now. Oh, that makes it cooler.
Because he has gone insane and so
he's totally nuts.
Decided. Well, we need to finish this movie. To
we're almost
why
done.
he goes insane. Well, the reason he goes insane is because of what happens right here.
Now.
Yeah. So again, the building is blowing up, burning down, which is great. We want to get rid of all evidence of whatever
the zombies have
here.
all decided to just start lighting shit on fire and smashing chemicals against the wall.
The woman one that throws the...
She's just like, I'm just going to gas everybody.
I know. I was like, what is this? But yeah, so the whole building gone. Everybody's gone. Nothing left. I guess the security guard made it outside. We don't even see him.
He just leaves. He's like, nope.
The only people we see make it out of this building is definitely going to be Megan and Dan.
Yep, they go to the elevator, but we have one last fight, right?
Oh man,
the burn victim guy coming through there, and he's just choking.
Did you notice how silly this was? Dan leaves the elevator,
runs all the way down the hall,
gets the axe,
runs
comes
all the way back
into the elevator. He didn't attack the thing from behind, outside the elevator.
He pushes the door of the elevator open, shimmies past it so he can get that perfect shot at the arm.
Well, and it's so the director could get that perfect shot of that perfect shot at the arm, because it wouldn't have looked as good from behind.
No, it wouldn't have.
But
we don't want to have to reset up the cameras.
But if you're going to do that, you just need to cut to inside again. Like, don't show us him get in, because then it looks extra silly.
He just like kind of shimmies past the thing.
It was like, aha! It was like, but wouldn't he have started attacking him? What? I don't even understand.
Oh, Dan needs to learn how to fight because he's a weak little bitch. He can't even like push this thing off of her.
So he takes the fire axe, cuts the arm off,
but it's still going.
It's
still choking her.
She's dead. She's asphyxiated.
Yeah,
she's not technically dead yet. She's still clinging. She's not brain dead yet.
Yeah, she's not brain dead. We have 6 to 12 minutes, man.
Yes. But so I have a problem with this because that thing was not choking her long enough. I feel like for her to be dead right now.
No, I'm like, I'm sure people pay to get choked out longer than that.
But so she's dead. I was so like, what do you mean?
What do you mean she's dead? And what do you mean you can't bring her back with CPR? Like,
or the defibrillator?
Like because they try. They take her upstairs. They all start working.
It's literally the beginning again.
Yeah, it's all over again.
It's the same doctor. Same, and she's the one telling him. Yeah, like no, it's over.
It's more somber this time because they all know her.
Yeah, everybody knows who she is. And her daddy just died.
Yeah,
again,
he got tore apart.
Again.
Poor
guy, just can't die enough times.
He's the real hero of the story. I maintain.
He is though.
R.I.P.
He did the most.
R.I.P. Dean
He did the most heroic things.
He really
in the movie,
did
for sure.
Except for the weird stripping scene. I'll let that go.
Yeah. Well, he was fully under the mind control.
It wasn't him.
It was the drugs and the mind control.
It was the drugs and the mind control.
And the laser
It wasn't
surgery.
Daddy Halsey, all right?
Yeah. But so Dan, though, at this moment is like, she's gone. I can't deal with it. Everybody leaves the room. They're giving him a moment,
he's
some
saying
privacy.
He's like, oh, I love you.
And then he looks over at the bag.
And then the music starts,
and he has a bit of an idea. And you see him grab the bag, fills the needle, cuts to black.
And it's just the fucking green from the syringe.
I love that
love
effect.
This.
It looks so
slowly
cool. That was definitely
down.
like, I don't even know how they did that because that wasn't really filmed, right? Like
no,
that,
like
you can tell it is some kind of cut. Yeah, exactly. It looks so dope.
And the plunger goes down, the green goes away to black, and we just hear the scream from hell.
Because she came back.
Yeah, because she's alive again, and she does not like that.
Again, this is the first time since maybe the beginning that we hear a scream. For them coming back, because birth is hard.
Yep.
But this is the spot where we can officially say, so again, like I was saying for the second movie, dude,
It starts right here.
and it could totally make sense that he's gone insane and would
it's
picture
all
a
just
faked
figments of
Herbert,
his-
right? Because he's fully gone over the deep end by injecting her. He's left his
That's
real
really
life
cool.
behind.
But you kind of have to ignore the third one for that to work.
I know.
But I'm totally okay with doing that.
But yeah, well, a lot of horror franchises work
Yeah,
that
no,
way, right?
it's
Like
like-
sometimes you gotta cherry pick which ones work together to tell stories.
I mean, I ignore fucking Jason Goes to Hell.
Can we talk about Highlander 2?
No, because that one's awesome.
It definitely doesn't fit in with the rest of them.
It
though.
doesn't, but it's awesome.
Well, and here's my thing. Before we wrap up the episode, we're done with the movie.
We're done with
We
the
know
movie,
that.
yeah.
Since you brought up Jason Goes to Hell, I'm gonna go ahead and tell everybody my next movie pick,
Oh, yes.
which is Friday the
segue.
13th. But yeah, so now that they know what movie, though, we done this a little bit out of order, just because you gave me the perfect
gave you the
segue
perfect
point at the
lead-in,
end there. You can go ahead and let us know what we're drinking next
We're
week.
going to
though.
be drinking the Masthead Brewing Company's Oktoberfest. Keeping that fucking going. So hope it's as good as this one. I liked the
Brew
Moeller
Barn?
Brew Barn, the Brew Barn. Good barn for good beer. Everybody
was
go and
good.
try that one.
Definitely enjoyed it. Like it. Don't forget, guys, like we've already said, and this was two episodes in. Next week is our third. We'll have one more to close out our October, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah.
All right, but I think on that note, we are definitely done.
Are we done? All right. I poisoned your beer, by the way.
What?
Don't worry, buddy. I got you.
No.
Yes. Yes.